Chapter 2591. Fleeing in a sorry state. The metal ball was extremely heavy, and its power was comparable to a fourth-level void god realm. However, it couldn't block the bald man's attack. Tong Shi was extremely anxious at the side. However, with her strength, the difference between her and the bald man was too great. She would only die if she went up. Brat, die! The bald burly man bellowed. He saw that the metal ball was following Lu Ming and had the greatest killing intent toward him. He wanted to get rid of Lu Ming first. Lu Ming's size narrowed and he retreated rapidly. At the same time, he exploded his ruler's power to the maximum. Buzz! The bald burly man's saber radiance was incomparably dazzling as it slashed toward Lu Ming. As Lu Ming retreated, he slashed out with his sword and it collided with the bald man's saber. Clang! The sword and saber collided, sending sparks flying in all directions. Lu Ming fell, an extremely terrifying force surging towards him. His body shook violently and he flew out like a cannonball, crashing into the wall of the valley. Even the metal wall cracked and caved in. PM. Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood. He felt that his arm was about to break from the impact. The divine weapon sword in his hand had actually been chipped. A level 5 low-grade god equipment. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The battle saber in the bald man's hand was a level 5 low-quality god weapon, while the battle sword in his hand was only a level 3 low-quality god weapon. It was normal for the other party to have a crack in it. In the primal universe, divine weapons were divided into 4 major levels: low grade, medium grade, high grade, and top grade. Each level was further divided into 9 ranks. The combat sword in Lu Ming's hand was given to him by Baya. It was a level 3 low-grade divine artifact and was the highest level divine artifact that Lu Ming bad. Boom! At this time, the metal ball charged at the bald man again. Its size had become even bigger, with a diameter of 10 meters. It was like a small hill as it smashed towards the bald man. Xian Yanjuan, Dark Holy Light Technique. Xian Yanqing sent a message to Xian Yanjuan. Alright. Xian Yanjuan nodded. Boom! Boom! Brilliant light burst out from the two of them. One was black and the other was white, like a black sun and a white sun. Then, the black and white light intertwined and formed a cage, enveloping the bald man in it. Boom! The bald man struck the cage with all his might, but it didn't break. This was the Dark Holy Light Cage, a secret skill that could only be used by Xian Yangying and Xian Yanjuan when they worked together. When the Heaven Realm and the Evil God Realm had fought, the two of them had worked together to trap the sacred ancestor Bloodheart for a while. Back then, they had only been demi-G. Oh, DS, but they had been able to trap sacred ancestor Bloodheart, who was at the Void God Realm. Now that both of them had broken through to the Void God Realm, their cultivation techniques had changed, and they could control divine power. The power of this technique was much stronger than before. Boom! 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 The bald burly man went berserk. IIS blade glowed brightly as he launched a frenzied attack. However, it was blocked by the Dark Holy Light Cage. He couldn't break it at all. Lu Ming, attack! Zik Nianqing shouted. Kill! Lu Ming bellowed. He exerted all his strength and slashed his combat sword madly. Sword chi rushed towards the bald man as if it was free. At the same time, Tong Shi also charged over and attacked with all her might. In addition, the metal ball would seize the opportunity to hit the bald man from time to time. The Dark Holy Light Cage did not stop Lu Ming and the rest at all. Their attacks bombarded the bald burly man to their heart's content. At this moment, the bald burly man was like a live target, allowing Lu Ming and the rest to attack him. The bald burly man waved his saber with all his might to block the attacks from Lu Ming and the rest. However, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjin's Dark Holy Light Cage could not only trap him, but also attack him. Black and white lotuses emerged from the Dark Holy Light Cage and turned into sword chi. They danced and attacked the bald man. For a moment, the the bald man was teared and could only try his best to resist. However, he could only defend and not attack. He was a live target and there would always be times when he was careless. Pit. A black sword light streaked across his body, leaving a deep sword wound that was bleeding profusely. He bellowed in anger and retreated rapidly, crashing into the dark holy light cage. A white sword light flashed, and his chest was almost pierced. Roar. The bald man let out a beast-like roar. Isle was in existence at the 5th level of the Void God realm, yet he was injured by a few juniors at the 1st level of the Void God realm. He was furious. Unfortunately, it was useless no matter how angry he was. After a while, he was even more outmatched. He staggered after being hit by the metal ball. Lu Ming seized the opportunity and almost beheaded him with a slash of his sword, leaving a sword wound that was a few feet long on his chest. The bald man's strength started to weaken. "You're the one who's going to die today," Lu Ming said coldly, and his attacks became more violent. "Don't even think about it. You juniors can forget about killing me," the bald burly man roared. His aura suddenly skyrocketed, as if there was a flame burning. Burning Shin power. The bald burly man was going all out. Normal people would not burn their Shin power unless it was a critical moment. This was because if they burned their Shin power too much, their cultivation might decrease and even leave behind terrifying after effects that would make it difficult for them increase their cultivation in the future. Usually, if they did not encounter an especially dangerous situation, they would not risk their lives like this. However, the bald man had no choice but to risk his life. If he didn't, he might die here. Boom. Boom. The burning of his divine power increased the bald man's strength by a large margin. He broke through everyone's attacks with a single strike, then heavily slashed at the dark holy light cage. Boom. The dark holy light cage started to shake violently. Boom. Room. Following that, the bald burly man bombarded the dark holy light cage in a frenzy, causing the cage to shake more and more violently. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjin's delicate bodies trembled as their faces turned pale. The bald burly man attacked 50 to 60 times in a row, and he specifically attacked a certain area. Kacha. That area finally couldn't hold on any longer and a crack appeared. Then, the crack collapsed and a gap appeared. Buzz. The bald man seized the opportunity and rushed out of the gap. He then turned into a rainbow light and sped into the distance. "I will take revenge for this sooner or later." The bald burly man's furious roar could be heard. He actually did not dare to stay. He needed to find a place to stop and burn his Shin power to recuperate. If he continued, not only would his cultivation level fall, but it would also leave behind terrifying after effects. It would be a great loss if there were terrifying after effects that would prevent him from improving his cultivation in the future. Compared to killing Lu Ming and the rest, his future was more important. He would have another chance to kill Lu Ming and the rest in the future. In the blink of an eye, the bald man had disappeared. What a pity. Lu Ming sighed secretly. However, he also knew that their cultivation base was too low. It was already extremely shocking that they could force a 5th-level Void God realm existence into such a state. Chapter 2592 Metal Sphere advances. The bald man retreated with serious injuries. Lu Ming and the rest did not stay and left the place immediately. Following that, they were much more cautious and went to remote places to avoid encountering other martial artists. The next 10 days were very peaceful. Nothing major happened. They were able to hunt desolate beasts in. With the help of the metal ball, their speed of hunting desolate beasts had greatly increased. However, they realized something. The metal ball could deal with 4th-level virtual god-level wild beasts, but it would be very difficult to deal with 5th-level virtual god-level wild beasts. It could scare the other party, but if the other party turned and ran, the metal ball could not catch up. Therefore, the wild beasts they hunted were all below the 4th level of the Void God realm. During this period, Lu Ming, Xian Yangqing, Xian Yanjuan, and Tong Shi also went all out to kill the dire beasts and hunt for their beast corks. After all, if it relied on the metal ball alone, I would have to take half of the beast cores hunted. If they worked together, their efficiency would naturally be much higher. In 10 days' time, together with the beast cores they had hunted before, they could probably sell all of them for around 100,000 divine crystals. Was definitely a big harvest. On this day, after the metal ball swallowed a beast core, its body suddenly emitted a brilliant light. A powerful aura filled the air. Could this be? He's about to advance? Lu Ming was a little stunned. Could it be that the metal ball would be able to advance if it kept devouring the beast core? Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. The metal ball was like a balloon, swelling and shrinking. This repeated for a few hours before it finally stabilized, and the aura of the metal ball also increased. Second level of the Void God Realm. Lu Ming understood that the metal ball had really advanced and reached second level Void God level. Lu Ming was overjoyed. The metal ball had advanced and it would undoubtedly be more powerful. In the future, it would be faster to hunt dire beasts. While they were hunting wild beasts, a figure rushed out of a hidden cave. It was the bald man from the Origin Luo Palace. After more than 10 days, his injuries had finally completely recovered. The side effects of burning Shin power had also completely stabilized. Tong Shi, and that kid, don't think of having an easy time. If I can't have him, you can't either. The bald man said ferociously. Then, his figure flashed and he left. Tens of thousands of miles away, there was another group of people hunting desolate beasts. There were about a dozen of them. This group of people came from another force, the Fengyun Hall. Fengyun Hall was a force that was not weaker than the Yuanluo Palace and the Jingtian army. Who is it? Suddenly, an old man leading the Fengyun Hall looked in one direction with lightning-like eyes. Brother Feng, you're really sharp. I'm impressed. With a chuckle, a figure emerged. It was the bald man from the Origin Luo Palace. Kang Bing, is that you? What, do you want to take advantage of my Fengyun Hall? The old man from Fengyun Hall scanned the surroundings with lightning-like eyes. The other people of Fengyun Hall also looked around vigilantly. The chaotic astral Akan is a chaotic place with countless big and small powers. It's a common occurrence for these powers to kill each other. On the myriad gold star, it was common to fight for beast cores, so they naturally had to be on high alert. Brother Feng, you must be joking. I'm here to tell you a great opportunity. The bald man laughed. A great opportunity. The corners of the old man's mouth curled up slightly. He obviously didn't believe it. If there's an opportunity, why would you be so kind as to tell me? He would have taken it for himself long ago. This opportunity isn't in my hands. It was taken away by a few kids from the righteous army. They obtained a type of metal ball that has spirituality. It can suppress other metal desolate beasts on the myriad gold star and then SNTCH their beast cores. It's extremely efficient. The bald man said. What? There was actually such a treasure. Kang Bing, you're not lying to me, are you? The old man still didn't believe him. It's up to you to believe it or not. The news has been delivered. There are only 4 people in the Jingtian army, 3 women and 1 man. They are all young people. Why don't you try to see if it's true? The bald man laughed, and then his figure flashed and left. Big Brother Li, what should we do? Is this Kang Bing telling the truth? Someone asked the old man. There's actually such a powerful metallic life form that can suppress the other metallic desolate beasts. It's better to believe it than not. If it's true, then we'll be rich. Well, immediately find those fellows from the righteous army. The old man ordered. After that, the bald man shuttled through the land to find people from other forces and spread the news. Most of them, like the old man of Fengyun Hall, would rather look for it. More and more people joined in the search for Lu Ming and the rest. Lu Ming and the rest were unaware of this and continued to hunt for beast cores. With the advancement of the metal ball, their speed of obtaining beast cores had increased. They could even kill 5th level virtual god level wild beasts now. There's someone. One day, as they were moving forward, Xian Yanjin's eyes suddenly moved. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing also sensed it. Buzz. And NBSP whoosh. The figures in front of him flickered, and 6 figures appeared. These 6 people were from the Human-Snake Hybrid clan and the Oxhead clan. The leader of the group, an old serpent man, swept a dark gaze at Lu Ming and the rest. His gaze eventually landed on the metal ball on Lu Ming's shoulder. It's just as Kang Bing said. There really is a metallic life form like this. The Serpent Man Elder's eyes were filled with greed. They came from a small force and only 6 of them were on the Myriad Gold Star. When they heard news about Kang Bing, they immediately started searching everywhere. Unexpectedly, they found Lu Ming and the others first. Brat, hand over that metal ball and well spare your life. The Serpent Man Elder spoke with a sharp and hoa R.S.E. voice. He swung his tail back and forth threateningly. Are they here for the metal ball? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He immediately thought of the bald man from the Origin Hall. It must have been the bald man who leaked the news, or he wanted to use someone else to get rid of them. Get lost! Lu Ming shouted coldly. Among the 6 of them, the Snake Man Elder had the highest cultivation base, which was at the 4th level of the Void God Realm. The rest of them were all below the 4th level of the Void God Realm, so they were not afraid at all. What did you just say? A transformation Void Martial Stage warrior dares to talk to me like this. If you hand over the metal ball, I could consider sparing your life. Now, even if you kneel down and beg me, you will still die. The Serpent Man Elder's voice was extremely cold and filled with killing intent. I'll kill him. A 3rd level Void God Realm Minotaur held a battle axe. He arched his body and took a step forward, charging toward Lu Ming like an arrow. Go, smash him to death. Lu Ming waved his hand and the metal ball flew out. At the same time, it expanded rapidly and smashed down on the Minotaur's face. 22 Swipe left to continue. Chapter 2593 Preparing to leave the metal ball enlarged and smashed towards the Minotaur. The Minotaur roared and waved his giant axe, heavily chopping at the metal ball. Clang! With an earth-shattering sound, the battle axe in the Minotaur's hand bounced back and hit his head. At the same time, the metal ball pressed down and hit the Minotaur's head. The Minotaur let out a blood-curdling screech as his body exploded and he died on the spot. When the metal ball was at the 1st level of the Virtual God Realm, its power was equivalent to the 4th level of the Virtual God Realm. Now that it had advanced, it could fight with a 5th level Virtual God Realm powerhouse. Naturally, it could kill a 3rd level Virtual God Realm powerhouse instantly. What? The old serpent man was shocked. A 3rd level Void God Realm expert was instantly killed. Even he couldn't do that. Let's go. The Serpent Man Elder roared and turned to run. The remaining few people had long since been scared out of their wits. Before the old Serpent Man Elder could say anything, they had also fled. Smash! Lu Ming waved his hand and the metal ball flew out, smashing towards the old Serpent Man. Boom! The metal ball was like a mountain as it crashed toward the old Serpent Man Elder. The Serpent Man Elder used all his strength to block and blast out attacks, but they were all destroyed by the metal ball. Bang! The Serpent Man Elder's palms finally landed on the metal ball. His body trembled violently, and he was sent flying while spitting out blood. Both his arms had been broken. Then, the metal ball continued to ly over and smashed down heavily. The old Serpent Man couldn't block the metal ball's attack at all. He tried his best to block a few moves, but he was still killed by the metal ball. As for the remaining people, Xian Yanging and Xian Yinjuan had already rushed out. With a flash of their swords, they were all killed. The old Serpent Man and the other 6 had all fallen here. However, Lu Ming and the rest looked grave. If the bald man from the Yuan Luo Palace could inform the old serpent man, he could also inform the others. It would be bad if he encountered a stronger opponent. Let's go. After putting away the storage rings of the old serpent man and the others, the group left in a flash. However, not long after, they were surrounded again. This time, they met the people of Tinyun Hall. There were more than 20 people from Fengyun Hall, and 2 of them were at the 5th level of the Void God Realm. There were also a few 4th level Void God Realm experts, and they were no match for them. With the help of the metal ball, they managed to block a few of the other party's attacks. They then quickly retreated. Don't even think about leaving. Hand over that metallic sphere. The leader of the Tinyun Hall was a human elder. His eyes were cold and his cultivation base was at the peak of the 5th level of the Void God Realm. He was very powerful and was hot on Lu Ming's heels. Lu Ming and the rest did not take a look and ran at full speed. Die! The old man from Fengyun Hall struck out with his palm. The force of his palm was like an avalanche as it blasted towards Lu Ming and the rest. Wherever it said, some trees made of metal were constantly blown up and shattered. Go! Lu Ming pushed the metal ball out directly. Thump! With a loud boom, the metal ball shook violently and was sent flying back. However, the speed of Lu Ming and the rest was not affected at all. They ran at top speed. You can't escape. The old man of Fengyun Hall had a ferocious look on his face, and his eyes were filled with greed. That metal ball was so magical, and its strength was also extremely shocking. If he could get his hands on it, he would definitely be like a tiger that had grown wings. Roar! Suddenly, a loud roar came from the front. The roar was shocking. Even from a distance, one could feel a powerful pressure. That's a 6th level Void God Realm Metal Desolate Beast. Zik Nianjuan said. Charge! Lu Ming said. They did not slow down at all and rushed straight ahead. You guys. You're looking for death, you're looking for death. The old man of Fengyun Hall roared. Even if you're looking for death, I won't let you off easily. If you have the ability, then come after me. Lu Ming turned around and shouted in disdain. Damn it! The old man of Fengyun Hall roared. He gritted his teeth and continued to chase. Roar! Thunderous roars came from the front. They saw a giant metal tiger that was more than 10 meters tall. As soon as Lu Ming and the rest approached, they were discovered by the giant metal tiger. Its cold gaze swept over Lu Ming and the rest, and they felt a strong pressure. A 6th-tier Void God Realm was extremely terrifying. Even if Xian Yangying and Xian Yanjuan joined forces with the metal ball, they would be defeated in an instant. Roar! The metal growler let out a long roar. It took a step forward and the karth shook. It then dashed toward Lu Ming and the rest. I can only take a gamble. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with determination. He did not stop and continued to rush forward. At that moment, the metal ball revealed a big mouth and a pair of eyes. It stared at the giant metal tiger and opened and closed its big mouth with all its might, making a cracking sound. When the giant metal tiger saw the metal ball, a trace of fear flashed in its eyes. Then, it twisted its waist, "Bipa," said Lu Ming and the rest, and rushed toward the people of Fengyun Hall. Damn it! Quickly run! The old man of Fengyun Hall shouted, turned around and ran. Although he was at peak LV5 Void God Realm, he would die if he went up against the giant metal tiger that was at LV6 Void God Realm. The metal desolate beasts on the myriad gold star were stronger when fighting against the same level. Because they were all made of metal, their defensive power was astonishing, and their vitality was very tenacious. When they fought, they were not afraid of death. Roar! The giant metal tiger roared angrily. It leaped 100 miles and quickly caught up with the people of Fengyun Hall. Its huge claws swept out and 2 experts of Tinyun Hall were killed. Then, it opened its mouth and bit down. an expert of Tingyun Hall was bitten into 2 pieces. It was simply torture. Ah, damn it. The old man from Fengyun Hall ran the fastest, leading the way. However, he was roaring in his heart. He could not figure out why the giant metal tiger did not attack Lu Ming and the rest. Instead, it attacked them directly. He was furious, but now, he could only run. Who? Lu Ming and the rest heaved a long sigh of relief. Tong Shi, in particular, felt a thin layer of cold sweat all over her body. However, they had made the right bet. The giant metal tiger did not attack them. It seemed like the metal ball was effective even against a 6th-level Void God Realm metal desolate beast. Let's go. They didn't stop and left in a flash. After running for a distance, they finally stopped. It seems like we can't keep one jinxing alive. I'm afraid that guy from the Yuanluo Palace has already spread the news. Tong Shi said. That's right, let's leave immediately and return to the True Heaven Star. Lu Ming added, he had gained a lot of divine crystals after hunting for a while. He could use them for a while if he sold them. Originally, if there was no danger, they had planned to continue hunting desolate beasts on the Myriad Gold Star. But now, it was too dangerous to stay on the Myriad Gold Star. They would be in danger if they encountered a 6th or even 7th level Void God Realm expert. 23. Chapter 2594 Metal Beast tied. The few of them discussed for a while and decided to return. After that, Tong Shi took out the Starry Sky battleship. After activating it, the few of them entered the battleship. Whoosh! The starship glowed and shot up into the sky, breaking through the horizon. However, just as the interplanetary warship charged into the atmosphere, a terrifying blade light slashed down from above and struck the interplanetary warship heavily. Boom! The starship rumbled and shook violently. Not good. Lu Ming and the rest's expressions changed. Through the Starry Sky battleship, they could see a burly man with a horn on his forehead in the sky. This was an expert of the rhinoceros people. The fluctuations emitted from this person's body were as terrifying as a stormy sea. Li's eyes were cold as he slashed out with his saber again. Buzzwoo! The snow-white blade light lit up the sky and struck the Starry Sky battleship. The Starry Sky battleship shook violently and rumbled continuously. Fortunately, the defense of the interplanetary warship was strong enough. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to travel in the starry sky. It would be difficult for the other party to break through it in a short time. However, the other party could not break it, but they could stop them. When the other experts arrived, they would be like turtles in a jar. Turn around. Lu Ming said. Tong Shi controlled the Starry Sky battleship and turned it around, flying back to the ground. In the air, the rhinoceros man chased closely. This burly man's cultivation was shockingly high. Al was definitely above the 6th level of the Void God Realm and was probably a terrifying expert at the 7th level of the Void God Realm. It was obvious that this person had been patrolling in the sky earlier because he had expected Lu Ming and the rest to escape in the interplanetary warship. If there were such experts in this area, there might be terrifying experts patrolling in other areas as well. They approached the ground but did not leave the interplanetary warship. Instead, they drove the warship and flew. The speed of the interstellar battleship was astonishing, far beyond that of the rhinoceros man. Very quickly, it left the rhinoceros man in the dust. After shaking off the rhinoceros people, they left the interplanetary warship and flew on their own. The movement of an interstellar battleship flying on the Myriad Gold Star was too big and too eye-catching. If they kept flying, they would undoubtedly be courting death. Not only would they attract other experts, but they would also attract the powerful existences among the metallic desolate beasts. However, their luck seemed to have run out. They had not flown for long before they encountered a group of people. This group of people's eyes lit up the moment they saw Lu Ming and the rest. It's them. Kill them and take their treasures. This group of people charged directly at Lu Ming and the rest. The one at the forefront was a 5th-level void god-level existence. There were also a few 4th-level void god realm experts. Go, smash him to death. A cold glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. With a wave of his hand, the metal ball flew out and smashed towards the 5th-level void god-level existence. With the metal ball's current strength, it would have no problem blocking a 5th-level void god-level powerhouse. As for Lu Ming and the rest, they rushed to the remaining people. Being chased all the way, Lu Ming and the rest were filled with pent-up anger. It was a good time to go on a killing spree. Boom! The metal ball collided with the 5th-level void god realm expert. Xian Yanjin's sword turned into a swordlight that enveloped the two 4th-level void god realm experts. On the other hand, Xian Yanqing charged toward the last 4th-level void god realm cultivator. Lu Ming activated the double combat strength and dealt with the others with Tong Shi. With Lu Ming's current combat strength, he could protect himself as long as he did not encounter any 4th-level void god-level powerhouses. Although the other party had more people, Lu Ming was fully on the defense. The other party could not do anything to him for a while. On the other hand, Xian Yanqing was completely overpowered by a 4th-level void god realm existence. Whoosh! Whoosh! Xian Yanqing had devoured the memories of his previous life. His combat experience and awareness were not much worse than Xian Yanjin's. His sword flashed and forced his opponent to retreat. Pfft! After dozens of moves, the opponent was almost cut in half by Zik Nianking's sword light. He was so scared that he retreated frantically. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, Xian Yangning's sword suddenly changed direction and like a fairy from heaven, he attacked the people who were fighting Lu Ming. Pfft! Pfft! A sword light flashed, and a few heads flew off. A 3rd-level void god realm and 2 2nd-level void god realm experts were killed instantly. Such swordsmanship, such combat skills. Lu Ming was secretly shocked as he watched. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjin's swordsmanship came from the same source. They were very similar and were simply wonderful. Lu Ming felt that he could not achieve it. Especially after Xian Yangying and Xian Yanjuan broke through to the martial god realm, their strength had reached an even more shocking level. This wasn't a divine skill, but a pure use of the sword. It was a kind of technique and experience. With their current divine power, it was still difficult for them to support the explosion of a divine skill. Usually, one had to be at least at the peak of ethereal god realm before they could practice the godly skill. Buzzwoo. After killing 3 experts, Xian Yanking's sword changed its momentum again and killed 2 more. Not good. The rest of the people were shocked. They had so many people, but they were no match for Lu Ming and the other 3 young people. They were shocked. Buzz. And NBSP whoosh. At this moment, a violent air-piercing sound came from the distance, and a dozen streams of light shot over. Another group of experts had arrived. Those people from before were overjoyed. It's them. They have the treasure. Let's join forces and kill them. Those people from before shouted. It's them, kill. The people who came later saw Lu Ming and the rest and charged over one after another. Let's go. Lu Ming shouted and kept the metal ball. He then turned and left with Tong Shi, Xian Yanqing, and Xian Yanjuan. Another group of enemies had arrived, and there were 5th-level void god-level powerhouses among them. It would be unwise to stay and fight them head-on. Where do you think you're going? Behind him, a group of people was in hot pursuit. The 2 sides, one chasing and one escaping, covered tens of thousands of miles in the blink of an eye. Something's not right. Why is there not a single metallic desolate beast in this area? Suddenly, Lu Ming frowned. They had run for tens of thousands of kilometers, logically speaking, they should have encountered many metallic desolate beasts, but just now, they had not encountered a single one. This was clearly abnormal. Boom! 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 Suddenly, a series of explosions came from the distance, and the earth shook violently. Moreover, the vibration did not come from a single direction, but from all directions. What's going on? The people who were chasing after Lu Ming's group had a change in expression. Roar! Roar! Ow! Following that, the roars of beasts could be heard. The quaking of the ground became more and more intense. Then, they saw countless metal desolate beasts charging towards them from all directions like a tide. Beast tide, desolate beast tide, hurry up and run. Fly to the sky. The people who were chasing Lu Ming and the rest panicked and exclaimed in shock. However, there were wild beasts in all directions. With so many wild beasts rushing over, there would definitely be nothing left of them. Many people rushed into the sky, trying to escape by air. However, in the next moment, they were in despair. Chapter 2595 Reaping What You Sow. Buzz. Buzz zzz. In the sky, a sharp cry rang out. Flying desolate beasts appeared in the sky. Everyone's face turned pale. What do we do? Tong Shi-er's face was also pale. Let's go all out, little fellow. I'm counting on you. Lu Ming looked at the metal ball. The metal ball was able to deter those metal desolate beasts. Now, they could only rely on the metal ball. Boom! 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 Countless metal desolate beasts approached. Their terrifying auras came pressing down like an avalanche. Ah! Ah! Some people had already been swept into the beast tide, and they let out a series of miserable cries. However, in the blink of an eye, there was no sound. The metal ball in Lu Ming's hand expanded. Its big mouth opened and closed, its size widened and it glared at the metal desolate beasts. When the metal demonic beasts saw the metal ball, they looked frightened. They went around Lu Ming and the others and did not attack them. It's effective. Lu Ming and the rest were overjoyed. This scene was also seen by the others. Charge at them, they're fine. We can leave the myriad gold star with them. The remaining people who had not died rushed toward Lu Ming and the rest. Let's go. Lu Ming and the rest would not just stand there like fools. They used the metal ball to open up a path and rushed into the beast tide. You guys did not save me. You guys will die a terrible death. When those people saw Lu Ming and the rest rushing into the beast tide and about to disappear, they all roared madly. Lu Ming and the rest looked down on them. These people wanted to kill them just now. They were not fools. How could they possibly save them? And he said that he was going to leave them in the lurch. What a joke. Screams and rumbles came from behind, and soon, there was no more sound. Lu Ming and the rest used the metal ball to clear the way. It was very safe and they said through the beast tide without any danger. However, after they had advanced for a while, they encountered another horde of beasts with an astonishing number. They were running through the forest, their roars thundering. I've heard that the myriad gold star only has a beast tide once every 10,000 years. I didn't expect that we would encounter one this time. Tong Shi-er said. There was a look of lingering fear on her face. This time, if they didn't have the metal ball, they would also be in danger, and it would most likely be a disaster. They said through the beast tide with the metal ball and entered a forest. Roar! Roar! Not long after they entered the forest, they heard the roars of wild beasts. At the same time, there were sword chi and saber light that soared into the sky. It was obvious that someone was fighting with the wild beasts. The next moment, they saw a group of people rushing over here, followed by a bunch of dire beasts. It's him. The expressions of Lu Ming and the rest changed. One of them was the bald man from the Origin Luo Palace. The other person was the old man from Fengyun Hall. At this moment, they were all in a sorry state as they were being chased by a group of desolate beasts. It's them. It's those bastards. The bald man from the Origin Net Palace also saw Lu Ming and the others. His eyes glowed with a cold light. Then, the bald man from the Origin Luo Palace charged at Lu Ming and the others. The rest of them followed the bald man and charged at Lu Ming and the rest. It was obvious that he wanted to drag Lu Ming and the rest into the water. "You're really looking for death." Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. "Let's bring them to the beast." Tide. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Xian Yanging and the rest. Their eyes lit up as they understood what Lu Ming and the rest were up to. They turned around and ran towards the beast Tide. The bald burly man and the rest were in hot pursuit, following closely behind Lu Ming. They had just said through the beast horde, so they were not far away. Soon, they saw a large group of dire beasts. Lu Ming kept the metal ball in his storage ring. Roar! Roar! The moment the dire beasts saw Lu Ming and his group, they charged at them in a frenzy. Not good. Damn it! The bald man and the others were shocked. On the other hand, Lu Ming's group turned around and rushed towards the bald man and the others, bringing along a large group of dire beasts. Damn it, you all deserve to die. A bunch of lunatics. The bald burly man and the rest roared. They thought that Lu Ming and the rest could not escape and would die with them. You guys, get out, get out. The bald man roared. Didn't you want to chase us just now? Why are you telling us to get lost now? Lu Ming sneered and continued to chase after the bald man and the rest. The bald burly man and the others revealed looks of despair. There was a large group of desolate beasts behind them, and there were even more desolate beasts in front. In the sky, there were also densely packed flying desolate beasts. He simply had no way out. At this moment, Lu Ming and the rest suddenly stopped. Then, the metal ball in his hand appeared again. He took out the metal ball and the dire beasts automatically bypass, said Lu Ming and the rest, pouncing on the bald man and the rest. Enjoy it, Lu Ming sneered. Then, he, Xian Yanqing, and the rest rushed into the group of dire beasts, safe and sound. Ah, ah, ah. The bald man, the old man of Fengyun Hall, roared in anger and hysteria. They were aggrieved, unwilling, and afraid to dick. They understood that they had been tricked by Lu Ming. They wanted to charge at Lu Ming and the rest, but countless dire beasts had already drowned them. A few 5th-level virtual god-level wild beasts charged at the bald man. The bald man tried his best to block a few moves before he was torn apart and died on the spot. The old man of Fengyun Hall was also torn to pieces by the wild beasts after only a few moves. Lu Ming and the few of them left the place. Now that there's a beast tide, be it on the ground or in the sky, there are terrifying dire beasts. There shouldn't be any experts in the sky blocking us, right? Let's leave now. Lu Ming said. Everyone nodded. Those powerhouses had probably left the myriad gold star after seeing the beast tide. However, with so many desolate beasts in the sky, they naturally could not take out the starry sky battleship to fly. They had to pass through the group of desolate beasts before they could leave. They flew toward the sky. Buzz! All of a sudden, a sharp screech was heard. A huge silver-white eagle that looked as if it was made of silver flew over and fixed its eyes on Lu Ming and the rest. A terrifying aura emanated from the condor, causing Lu Ming and the rest's hearts to race. Terrifying. It was so terrifying. The condor gave them a terrifying feeling. It was even more terrifying than the 7th-level void god realm wild beasts they had encountered before. It was definitely an existence that had Serpa. Said the 7th level of the void god realm. This kind of existence was too shocking. Lu Ming felt that the other party could kill him in one move. The silver condor's cold eyes stared at them. Lu Ming and the others could not help but tense up and break out in cold sweat. Crack! Crack! The metal ball opened its mouth wide and stared at the eagle. The silver condor's gaze landed on the metal. Unlike other desolate beasts, there was not much fear in the silver condor's eyes. D23. Chapter 2596 Return. When they saw the silver condor's cold and fearless gaze, Lu Ming and the others could not help but feel nervous. No way. This silver eagle was not afraid of the metal ball. Then, wouldn't they be finished? Being ignored by the silver condor, the metal ball was furious. It seemed to feel that its dignity had been challenged. Its body swelled up, and its eyes were wide open. Its mouth was full of fangs, and it bit down. At the same time, two tentacles stretched out of its body, which was like liquid metal, and waved vigorously, as if threatening the silver condor. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan, and Tong Shi didn't even dare to breathe. They stood there, motionless. Now, he had to rely on the metal ball. If the metal ball couldn't scare off the enemy, they would be in danger. Fortunately, the silver condor finally reacted. After its cold eyes swept over Lu Ming and the rest, it turned around, let out a long hiss, flapped its wings and left. Not only that, even the other flying desolate beasts in the surrounding area also left. Let's go. Lu Ming and the rest heaved a long sigh of relief. They felt a chill on their backs and they were drenched in cold sweat. Crack! Crack! The metal ball shrunk and turned into a round metal ball again. It jumped around in front of Lu Ming, as if it was showing off its achievements. Let's go. Lu Ming grabbed the metal ball and flew to the sky. This time, they were not in any danger. They flew all the way to the sky above the atmosphere and approached the outer SPCE before they stopped. There were no more desolate beasts here, nor were there any other powerful cultivators. Tong Shi took out the Starry Sky battleship. After entering the battleship, it turned into a stream of light and flew out of the atmosphere, charging into the vast starry sky. After entering the starry sky, they heaved a sigh of relief. Many things had happened on this trip to Myriad Gold Star, and they had finally left without any danger. It'll come again when my cultivation level is higher. Lu Ming muttered. This was a treasure land. He could hunt for a large number of metallic desolate beast cores. Moreover, Lu Ming had a treasure like the metal ball. The efficiency of hunting for beast cores was amazing, however, they definitely couldn't come in the near future. It wasn't just because of the beast tide. After the beast tide, the experts of the other forces would probably return to the Myriad Gold Star and look for them. After a few years, when his cultivation was higher, he would come back. Then, they sorted out the storage rings they had obtained from the enemy. They found some beast cores and divine crystals. He would organize the items and sell the beast cores when he returned to the righteous army. Then, B would split them equally. Time said by quickly, and after a month, they had returned to True Heaven Star. It was a place in the righteous army that specialized in buying, selling, and even exchanging treasures. After returning to True Heaven Star, Tong Shi brought Lu Ming and the rest here and sold all the metal beast cores. In addition to their spoils, they had a total of 120,000 divine crystals. 120,000 divine crystals. We will take 30,000 each. Lu Ming smiled and began to divide it equally. No, I only need 10,000. This time, it's all thanks to you guys. I didn't do much. Tong Shi quickly refused, her face slightly red. This time, she really did not put in much effort. Whether it was Lu Ming, Kic Nianqing, or Zik Nianjuan, they were all more powerful than her. Eiler's contribution was the least, so she was a little embarrassed. Said to take 10,000 divine crystals. We agreed that we would split the divine crystals equally. Since we agreed, we naturally have to keep our word. Lu Ming pushed the 30,000 divine crystals to Tong Shi. Lu Ming was already very satisfied with the metal ball. If Tong Shi had not brought them there, he would not have been able to get it. However, Tong Shi still refused and only accepted 20,000 divine crystals. Lu Ming, I'll return the interplanetary warship then. You guys have a chat. Tong Shi said goodbye and left. 100,000 divine crystals left. Lu Ming took out the remaining divine crystals. Just give me 30,000. With a wave of his hand, Xian Yanjuan took a storage ring with 30,000 divine crystals and left only Lu Ming and Xian Yanging were left. Xian Yanging took 30,000 yuan, while Lu Ming kept 40,000 yuan. With these divine crystals, I should be able to break through quickly. Xian Yanging smiled. She had devoured the memories of her past life, and her cultivation speed was astonishing. Her comprehension of the cultivation path was especially smooth. Therefore, as long as she had the resources, she could break through very quickly. However, Xian Yanjuan had an even greater advantage. When she fused with her past life, it was equivalent to her past life being reborn. She almost didn't need to comprehend it again. Her breakthrough was even faster and there was almost no bottleneck. The two of them chatted for a while before returning to their rooms to cultivate. On this trip to Myriad Gold Star, after a series of battles, Lu Ming had made great progress. His comprehension of the battle character formula and the way of the Dominator had both improved greatly. Lu Ming had a feeling that he would be able to break through soon. Lu Ming placed the metal ball in his room and focused on cultivating in seclusion. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Lu Ming's body, which had been meditating for a year, suddenly exuded a strong suction force. The divine qi between heaven and earth frantically gathered towards his body and then rushed into it. Then, Lu Ming waved his hand and a pile of divine crystals appeared. They exploded continuously and turned into rich divine qi that was absorbed by Lu Ming. The world energy and the ruler's energy in Lu Ming's body began to surge and quickly became rich. A few days later, the aura on Lu Ming's body rose sharply. Then, he slowly went into hiding. Buzzwoo. Lu Ming opened his eyes. There were two bright and dazzling beams of light in his eyes. 4-star Heavenly Emperor. Lu Ming revealed a smile. After training on the Myriad Gold Star and cultivating in seclusion for a year, Lu Ming had another breakthrough. Of course, this was because Lu Ming's cultivation level was still low. He was at the Heavenly Emperor realm. Moreover, the cultivation environment of the desolate universe was much better than that of the heaven realm. That was why he could break through so quickly. If he was in the heaven realm, it would be impossible to break through in such a short time. Of course, if he reached the void god realm in the future, it wouldn't be that easy breakthrough. It was very difficult to break through to each level of the ethereal god realm unless one was a heaven-defying genius with the help of some rare natural treasures. Lu Ming's abilitics had undoubtedly increased again after he reached the 4-star Heavenly Emperor level. Now, if he activated the double combat strength, he could casually kill a 3rd-level void god realm existence. He could even fight against a 4th-level void god realm existence. Lu Ming got up and stretched his back. A dense burst of explosions came from his body. This fellow. Lu Ming opened his eyes and realized that the metal ball was lying limply on the ground. 2. Looked listless and had almost turned into a pool of liquid. This guy, could it be that he didn't catch anything and ended up like this? Lu Ming made a guess and a piece of metal beast core appeared in his hand. Previously, Lu Ming still had dozens of scattered beast cores that he had not sold. 23. Chapter 2597 Lu Ming's standard of naming. As soon as the metal beast core appeared in Lu Ming's hand, the metal ball immediately bounced up and shook vigorously like a piece of jelly. A big mouth and a pair of eyes appeared on it. The eyes were only glowing and were staring at the metal beast core in Lu Ming's hand. Buzz! The metal ball jumped over, opened its mouth, and swallowed the beast core in one gulp. It began to chew on. After a while, the metal ball finished the metal beast core and looked at Lu Ming eagerly. Lu Ming took out a few more, but they were all finished by the metal ball in a few bites. We can't go on like this. We don't have that many metal beast cores for it to catch. Lu Ming frowned. A metal beast core is actually a kind of refining material. I wonder if this guy will eat other metal attribute realigning materials. At the thought of this, a piece of refining material appeared in Lu Ming's hands. 2. shone with different colors and was made of metals of different attributes. Gotcha! Lu Ming had just taken it out when it was swallowed by the metal ball in one bite. It ate with great relish. It really ate it. This fellow's teeth are really good. So, combat weapon, does it eat it? On second thought, Lu Ming took out another Emperor-level weapon. The metal ball reached out 2 tentacles and grabbed the Emperor-level weapon. It chewed it into pieces in 2 or 3 bites. Then, it shook its round body, as if it was saying that the level of the combat weapon was not high enough and it didn't have enough taste. Lu Ming was speechless. The next moment, a bow and arrow appeared his hands. This was the fallen star bow, an incomplete heavenly Tao soldier. It had given Lu Ming a lot of help when his cultivation level was still weak. The metal ball grabbed it, and with 2 or 3 cracks, it swallowed it. Only then did the metal ball's eyes reveal a hint of satisfaction. I'll give you a few more. Lu Ming took out a few more Heaven's Path soldiers, including the Great Desolation Spear. The Great Desolation Spear had been damaged during the battle with the divine ancestor of the non-human race. Furthermore, to Lu Ming, a Heavenly Tao soldier-level weapon was no longer of any use. He could shatter a Heavenly Tao soldier with a wave of his hand. The metal ball did not reject any of them. It chewed and swallowed the Heaven Tao soldiers one by one. After swallowing them, the metal ball emitted a layer of radiance. It then looked at Lu Ming eagerly. This guy's appet. 1 TE is too big. Lu Ming had a headache. Then, he gritted his teeth and took out 2 weapons. One was a battle saber and the other was an axe. They were both divine weapons, but they were only level 1 low-grade divine weapons. They were the spoils of war that Lu Ming had obtained from the enemy. In the Battle of Myriad Gold Star, Lu Ming and the rest had each obtained a few divine artifacts. However, the highest was only a level 3 low-grade divine artifact. They did not obtain any level 4 low-grade divine artifacts or above. When saw the 2 level 1 low-quality divine artifacts, the metal ball's eyes lit up, and it grabbed them and started to gnaw on them. This was a divine artifact. Although it was a level 1 low-grade divine artifact, its toughness was extraordinary. Even with Lu Ming's current ability, he would need to put in some effort to destroy it. However, the metal ball could bite off a large piece of it with one bite. It was eating with a fragrant sound. The metal ball was slightly slower in eating the divine artifacts. After half an hour, the metal ball finally destroyed the 2 divine artifacts. Its entire body was glowing, and it had a satisfied expression. This guy, he won't be eating divine weapons often in the future, right? At the thought of this, Lu Ming's face darkened. Every divine weapon was expensive. If he continued to cat like this, he would definitely go bankrupt. However, at the thought that this guy would level up if he ate too much, Lu Ming's heart burned with Shaun. As long as he had enough metal materials and various weapons for the metal ball to eat, it would be able to keep advancing. It would be of great help to him in the future. Let's eat some low-level food first, I'll think of a way. Lu Ming pondered and took out some of the refining materials that he had collected over the years. Over the years, he had collected too many metal forging materials. He had given a portion of them to the Dragon Alliance to forge weapons, but there was still a lot left. However, their levels were not high. Although he only took out a portion of it, it was still piled up like a small mountain. Seeing so much metal materials, the metal ball's eyes lit up and it pounced into the pile of refining materials and began to gobble them up. For the next half a month, Lu Ming stabilized his realm while observing the situation of the metal ball. In the past half a month, the metal ball had almost finished all the refining materials that Lu Ming had collected. However, the metal ball did not show any signs of advancing. It seems that the grade of the materials used is too low. They can't provide enough energy for the metal ball. Lu Ming sighed. Lu Ming guessed that after the metal ball swallowed the metal material, it would be able to absorb the spiritual essence of the metal ball material and improve itself. Only by absorbing enough golden essence could it transform and advance. The energy contained in low-level blacksmithing materials was too little for the metal ball that was already at the second level of the Void God realm. What do we do? Don't tell me you're going to keep feeding the divine artifact. How can I afford to feed it? Lu Ming sighed. Wait. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. If a divine artifact couldn't afford to feed him, then he would feed him divine artifact fragments. In the desolate universe, countless people fought each other every day, and countless people went to various forbidden places, dangerous places, and some unknown planets for adventure. They fought and killed each other. Every day, there would be mysterious fragments. When a divine artifact shattered, it would produce mysterious fragments. The metal ball only needed the spiritual essence of the metal. In that case, eating a divine artifact shard and eating a divine artifact were essentially the same. However, the price of a divine artifact fragment was much cheaper than a divine artifact. In fact, the price of a divine artifact fragment was even cheaper than the materials of the same level. This was because refining materials could be used directly for refining. However, if one wanted to reuse a mystical fragment, they would have to first extract the materials from the divine artifact fragment. However, when refining a divine weapon, all kinds of different materials had been completely intertwined and mixed together. It was very difficult to extract them. The cost of labor was also very high, which led to the price of the divine artifact fragments not being very high. I'll go and buy divine artifact fragments. Ha! At the thought of this, Lu Ming was overjoyed. He grabbed the metal ball and walked out. The metal ball itself was like a ball of liquid metal. At this moment, it squirmed along Lu Ming's palm and turned into a golden bangle, which Lu Ming wore on his wrist. Not bad, this is not bad. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He turned it into a bracelet and wore it on his wrist to avoid attracting attention. I'll give you a name, Lu Ming said as he looked at the bracelet on his wrist. A pair of eyes immediately appeared on the bangle, looking at Lu Ming with antic. 1P Asian. You're round like a ball. I'll call you Chio Chio, how about that? Isn't it good enough? Lu Ming said. The metal ball blinked its eyes. It seemed to like it. Dandan, Bubble, Chio Chio. At the thought of Dandan, Bubbles, and the rest, Lu Ming smiled in his heart. He was quite satisfied with the standard of his own naming. Outside, Lu Ming rose into the air. Not long after, he arrived at the place where the righteous Sky Army traded treasures. 23. Chapter 2598 Yunfeng City. Half an hour later, Lu Ming walked out of the place where the righteous army traded treasures. He frowned slightly. He did buy some divine artifact fragments, but not in large quant. 1 ties, only equivalent to about 10 divine artifacts. They were all low-level divine artifact fragments, and he had spent 200 divine crystals. These fragments of divine artifacts are not enough. Where should I buy them? Lu Ming pondered. Lu Ming. Suddenly, a crisp voice rang out. Lu Ming looked up and saw Tong Shi. Lu Ming, are you here to buy treasures? Tong Shi flew over with a smile. Yes, but I'm here to buy some fragments of divine artifacts. However, there are too few fragments here. Lu Ming said. Purchase divine artifact fragments? Tong Shi's gaze flickered, and she immediately thought of that metal ball. After all, the righteous army isn't big, and they lack powerful refining materials. Therefore, they don't have many divine artifact fragments in storage. Even if many people have divine artifact fragments, they won't sell them here. Tong Shi explained. Oh, Miss Shi, then where can I buy a large number of divine artifact fragments? Lu Ming asked. If you want to buy a large number of divine artifact fragments, you can only go to Cloud Peak City. Tong Shi said. Yunfeng City. You mean the Yunfeng City where the Yunfeng Pavilion is located? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The chaotic astral river has an extremely vast territory. It has many life planets. In addition, there are also many planets without any life. There are countless large and small planets in total. Therefore, there were many forces, big and small. For example, there were at least 800 forces like the righteous Heaven Army and the Yuanluo Palace. However, among all the powers in the chaotic astral river, the most powerful one is undoubtedly the Yunfeng Pavilion. That was because the Yunfeng Pavilion had a heavenly god. Out of all the powers in the chaotic astral river, only the Yunfeng Pavilion has a heavenly deity. Without a doubt, it is the number one power. Yunfeng City, where the Yunfeng Pavilion is located, is the most prosperous place in the chaotic astral river. Here, you can buy many things you want to buy. That's right. I'm also going to Cloud Peak City to buy some pills and prepare to break through to the next realm. We can go together. Tong Shi-er said. All right. Lu Ming nodded. He also wanted to go to Yunfeng City to sell a weapon that he could use. During this period of time, Lu Ming had been using the divine combat sword that Baiya had given him. However, after using it for a long time, Lu Ming felt that the spear was more suitable for him. Although he had cultivated the battle formula and could use any weapon with ease, Lu Ming had just started cultivating and he had already started using a spear. He was used to using a spear. Moreover, Baiya's divine combat sword was only a level 3 low-grade divine weapon. It was still a little too low. Lu Ming wanted to buy a spear of a higher level. He had asked around in the righteous army, but he couldn't find a suitable one. The two of them stepped into the Jingtian army's teleportation formation and headed toward Yunfeng City. True Sky Star was very far away from Cloud Peak Star, where Cloud Peak City was located. To cross the boundless starry sky, even if one took a teleportation array, it was impossible to reach it in one go. Instead, one would need to teleport multiple times. Furthermore, it was such a long S.P.C.E. teleportation. Even if they took the teleportation array, it would still take a long time. After 3 days of continuous teleportation, they finally arrived at Yunfeng City. What a majestic city! Walking around the streets of Yunfeng City, Lu Ming could not help but sigh. Only after coming to the primeval universe did Lu Ming feel that the heaven realm and the primordial realm were too small. The surface area of the dark underworld star was equivalent to the sum of tens of thousands of heaven realm, primordial realm, and evil god realms. The true heaven star was several times larger than the dark underworld star. However, the Cloud Peak planet, where Cloud Peak City was located, was at least dozens of times larger than the true sky planet. Compared to planet Yunfeng, the heaven realm, the primordial realm, and the evil god realm were simply dust. Just the area of Yunfeng City alone was estimated to be equivalent to the total area of hundreds of heaven realm, primordial realm, and evil god realms combined. One could imagine how huge it was. Cloud Peak City was extremely lively. All the powers of the chaotic astral river, big and small, could come here. Chaotic astral river is extremely chaotic. Killing can be seen everywhere, but Cloud Peak City is an exception. The Yunfeng Pavilion had a rule. Yunfeng City was a place for business, and killing was not allowed. If one wanted to kill, they had to go to a specific fighting stage. Whoever violated the rule would be hunted down by the Yunfeng Pavilion. As such, Cloud Peak City was extremely safe. This was the only way to attract countless people to do business, trade, buy treasures, or sell treasures. If it wasn't safe, they could kill him and steal his treasures at any time. Who would dare to come? Therefore, the two of them were more at ease and walked around casually. 2 days later, the two of them arrived at the largest city square in Yunfeng City. There was a sea of people here, and there were all kinds of shops. There were all kinds of materials, elixirs, weapons, and treasures. There were even divine skills for sale. Lu Ming went in to take a look. The price was shockingly high. Lu Ming could not afford even the lowest grade level 1 divine skill. It would cost at least tens of thousands of divine crystals. At a divine elixir store, Tong Shi-er bought the divine elixirs she needed. She had already accu mulat enough, and when she returned, she could break through to the second level of the void god realm. Then They came to a shop that sold artifacts. "Dear customer, may I know what you need?" Immediately, a beautiful young lady came up to him. "Hello, I need to buy a spear-type artifact." Lu Ming smiled. "A spear-type divine weapon? What level do you need? I can recommend it to you," the young woman said with a smile. "A level 5 low-grade god equipment or above," Lu Ming said. "Alright, please follow me." The young woman brought Lu Ming to a room. There were all kinds of long spears and divine artifacts hanging in the room. "This is a level 5 low-grade god artifact, Hurricane Spear. It's worth 3,000 god crystals. This is a low-grade level 6 god artifact, the Raging Flame Spear. It's priced at 7,000 god crystals." The lady introduced them to Lu Ming one by one. "What an expensive price." Lu Ming sighed. "And NBSP, a level 5 low-quality god artifact, cost 3,000 god crystals. Low-grade divine weapons corresponded to ethereal god realm. Usually, ethereal god realm warriors would use low-grade divine weapons while true god realm warriors would use middle-grade divine weapons. And NBSP and so on, the divine kings used supreme-quality divine artifacts. One had to know that on the Myriad Gold Star, a 5th-level Void God Realm Beast Core was only worth 80 divine crystals. And NBSP, a low-level 5 God Artifact Spear, on the other hand, would cost 3,000 God crystals. Of course, refining a divine weapon required more than one type of material. It required the combination of many materials and the cost of the refining. In the end, Lu Ming chose a spear that was a level 6 low-grade divine artifact, the Meteor Spear, and spent 7,000 divine crystals on it. "There aren't enough divine crystals." Lu Ming sighed. Previously, when he broke through to the 4-star Heavenly Emperor realm, he had used about 5,000 divine crystals. Now, he had spent another 7,000 divine crystals. Now, he only had 28,000 divine crystals left. Chapter 2599 Meeting Kong Long again. "Miss, do you sell fragments of divine artifacts here?" Lu Ming put away the meteor spear and asked again. "Of course I do." "What level of divine artifact fragment do you need?" "Different levels of fragments of divine artifacts have different prices," the young woman said. "A fragment of a low-grade divine artifact. Any grade will do," Lu Ming said. Then, under the young lattice introduction, Lu Ming bought a large number of divine artifact fragments. As expected of Cloud Peak City, there were many divine artifact fragments here. It could be said that they were piled up like a mountain. Moreover, the price was indeed cheap. Not to mention divine artifacts, even compared to the materials used for forging artifacts, it was much cheaper. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and spent another 10,000 divine crystals to buy a large pile of refining materials of various levels. It was enough for Qiu to eat for a period of time. Lu Ming's divine crystals had shrunk again. He only had 18,000 pieces left. "I need to find a way to earn some divine crystals," Lu Ming muttered. 18,000 divine crystals weren't enough for him. As his cultivation increased, he would need more divine crystals to break through in the future. The two of them had bought everything they needed. They walked out of the shop and planned to take the teleportation array back. "Tong Shi, and you, kid." Suddenly, an ear-piercing voice filled with resentment rang out. Lu Ming turned around and could not help but sneer. What a coincidence, he met an old acquaintance. Behind them were two young men. One of them was the young master of the Yuanluo Palace, Kong Long. Kong Long was glaring at Lu Ming with hatred. Back then, he was captured by Lu Ming and later handed over to the Righteous Sky Army as a hostage in exchange. He regarded this matter as a great humiliation. He hated Lu Ming to the core and always wanted to take revenge on Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming was hiding in the Righteous Army and he had no choice. He did not expect to meet him in Yunfeng City. "Kong Long, Sita Shao." Tong Shi Er's eyes flashed as she recognized the two of them. "Brat, it'll tear you into pieces sooner or later. Kang Long's eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. He glared at Lu Ming. If it were not for the fact that they were in Yunfeng City and killing was forbidden, he would have crushed Lu Ming's bones and scattered his ashes long ago. A defeated opponent dares to talk big here. Who doesn't know how to brag? Lu Ming cast a sidelong glance at Kang Long, his eyes filled with contempt. You. At the thought of being captured and imprisoned by Lu Ming for months, Kang Long was furious. He gritted his teeth and looked at Lu Ming's disdainful expression. He wanted to slap Lu Ming to death. Boom! A powerful aura burst out from Kang Long's body and pressed down on Lu Ming. First level Void God Realm. It was obvious that Kang Long had made a breakthrough from demigod level to virtual god level. The commotion here attracted the attention of the passers-by, who looked over as if they were watching a show. If you want to fight, come. Lu Ming curled his finger. He did not believe that Kang Long would dare to make a move in Yunfeng City. If he did, he would be courting death. Kid, I challenge you now. Let's fight on the fighting ring. Kang Long glared at Lu Ming. You? I'm not interested in a defeated opponent. Lu Ming pursed his lips. Kang Long was so angry that he almost exploded. Taking a few deep breaths, Kang Long managed to calm himself down and said, "You're the one who doesn't dare." Back then, he felt that he had been too careless when he lost to Lu Ming. Moreover, he had now broken through to first-tier Void God level and his combat strength had increased tremendously. He was fully confident that he could easily suppress Lu Ming. You don't have to provoke me. I'm really not interested in my defeated opponent. If there's nothing else, don't block the way. Lu Ming waved his hands casually. He was speaking the truth. Kang Long was only at the first level of the Void God realm. He could easily suppress him. He was not interested. However, Lu Ming kept calling him a defeated opponent. To Kang Long, it was the greatest insult to him. His face was red, and he gritted his teeth. If you don't want to fight with Brother Kang, then I'll challenge you. Do you dare to fight? The young man beside Kang Long spoke. The man's face was fair and clean, and he was waving a folding fan in his hand. He always had a confident smile on his face. Lu Ming, this man is the young sect master of the Walkabout sect, Situ Shao. He's at the second level of the Void God realm. Tong Shi sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. The Walkabout sect was a force that was as powerful as the Yuan Luo Palace and the Righteous Army. You want to challenge me? Lu Ming looked at Situ Shao. That's right, do you dare? If you don't dare, I won't make things difficult for you. Situ Shao said with a fake smile. To be honest, I'm not interested in you at all. With your cultivation, I can easily suppress you. Lu Ming pursed his lips. Situ Shao's eyelids kept twitching, and the folding fan that he had been fanning also stopped. A wisp of cold killing intent burst out from his eyes. Lu Ming actually said that he could suppress him with a flip of his hand. It was simply a huge joke. He could clearly feel that Lu Ming was only at the Transformation Void Martial stage. A Transformation Void Martial stage actually dared to speak so arrogantly. He was simply courting death. However, if you dare to make a bet with me, I can fight you. Lu Ming paused for a moment before he continued. Bet? How do we bet? Situ Shao said. Well, bet 20,000 divine crystals. Well, each take out 20,000 divine crystals. Whoever wins will take the others 20,000 divine crystals. How about it? Lu Ming said. 20,000 divine crystals. Situ Shao's expression changed slightly. 20,000 yuan was not a small amount. What, you don't dare to bet? Then forget it. Lu Ming had a look of contempt on his face. He turned around and was about to leave. I'll bet 20,000 yuan. Situ Shao said. He didn't think he would lose, so he agreed. Alright, then let's go to the battle stage. Lu Ming said. Immediately, Lu Ming, Tong Shi, Kang Long, and Situ Xiao went to the nearby fighting ring. Let's go and take a look. That young man is only at the transformation void martial stage, but he dares to challenge a second-level ethereal god realm heaven's favorite. Interesting. The people nearby followed Lu Ming and the rest. Soon, they arrived at a nearby fighting ring. The fighting ring was surrounded by people. Take out 20,000 divine crystals. I need a middleman to make sure you don't go back on your word. Lu Ming looked at Situ Xiao. How can I lose? What a joke. Situ Xiao sneered. That's hard to say. How do you know if you haven't fought? Lu Ming smiled faintly and looked around. Which senior can be the middleman? This old man will do it. A silver-haired old man walked out, and he gave off a powerful aura. 9th level Void God Realm. On the side, many people's expressions changed. In the chaotic astral river, those at the true God realm were definitely experts. Those at the 9th level of the Void God realm were the backbone of many forces. Alright, thank you, senior. Lu Ming said a storage ring to the silver-haired elder. There were 20,000 divine crystals in it. Lu Ming's original divine crystals were not enough for 20,000 pieces. On the way, he borrowed 2,000 more from Tong Shi, Chapter 2600 Kneel down, that's good too. Situ Xiao snorted and took out a storage ring as well, handing it over to the silver-haired old man. The silver-haired old man scanned the area with his spiritual sense and then said, 20,000 divine crystals each. There's no mistake. Whoever wins will get these divine crystals. Kid, come on stage. Situ Xiao said coldly as he stepped onto the fighting ring. Lu Ming also flew onto the platform and stood opposite Situ Xiao. That young man is only at the transformation void martial stage, but he actually dared to fight against a second-level void god stage existence. Could it be that he has something to rely on? I can't figure it out. The difference between the transformation void martial stage and the ethereal god realm is too big. Even the Heaven's Pride experts can't cross such a big realm to challenge someone. His opponent is Situ Xiao. I've heard of him before. He's also a Heaven's favorite who has mastered king-grade divine power. In that case, that young man is bound to lose. I don't know. I can't figure it out either. Let's see. Many people in the surroundings were discussing. However, most of them felt that Lu Ming was definitely not his match. After all, the Void Transformation Realm was only the first step of cultivation, while the Virtual God Realm was the second step. Only one step away, but the difference was like the difference between heaven and earth. Only those heaven-defying geniuses could possibly cross the gap. However, how could a small place like the chaotic astral river have such a heaven's favorite? However, there was also a group of people who felt that Lu Ming was very confident. Since he dared to accept the challenge, he should have something to rely on. They were very curious about what exactly Lu Ming was relying on. Everyone was staring at the two people on the fighting ring. Kid, I'll make you kneel in 3 moves. A thick killing intent flashed in Situ Xiao's eyes. His figure flashed and he appeared in front of Lu Ming like a flash of light. He raised one hand and pressed down. Divine power whistled and pressed down on Lu Ming like Mount Tai. He wanted to force Lu Ming to his knees on the spot. Situ Xiao was very confident. He was a heaven's favorite and had king-grade divine power. He was much stronger than other experts of the same level. Even second-level Void God Realm experts couldn't withstand this move. However, Lu Ming's expression did not change at all. He pointed his fingers like a sword and stabbed them towards Situ Xiao's palm. You're looking for death. Then I'll break your fingers. Situ Xiao grinned hideously and increased his strength. Bang! Lu Ming's finger and Situ Xiao's palm collided with each other, creating a violent boom. A figure was forced to take 5 or 6 steps back before he could regain his balance. The one who retreated was naturally Situ Xiao. How is that possible? Many people in the surroundings were shocked. Lu Ming had actually forced Situ Xiao to retreat with one move. This was beyond everyone's expectations. A transformation void martial stage forced back a second-level void god stage heaven's favorite with one move. This was simply unbelievable. I think Situ Xiao underestimated his opponent and didn't use his full strength. But this is still extremely shocking. Someone sighed. At this moment, Situ Xiao was also shocked. There was a sharp pain in his palm where Lu Ming's finger had pierced. He had indeed underestimated his opponent just now and had only used 70% of his power. However, it was still extremely shocking. One had to know that he controlled king-grade divine power. This kid is a monster. I'll cripple him today. Situ Xiao roared in his heart. He unleashed all his strength and charged toward Lu Ming. Good. Lu Ming was not afraid at all. He burst out with all his might as well. His entire body was covered in a dazzling purple-gold radiance as he charged towards Situ Xiao. Boom! 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 The two of them continued to clash and fought fiercely. For a moment, it was difficult to determine the winner. Although Situ Xiao was only at the second level of the Void God realm, his divine power was king-grade divine power. It was very dense and condensed, and his attack power was very strong. His strength was enough to fight against an existence at the third level of the Void God realm. On the other hand, Lu Ming had the cultivation base of a 4-star heavenly emperor. Without activating the battle character formula that doubled his combat strength, he could also fight with a third-level Void God realm existence. Therefore, it was difficult to determine the winner between the two of them. It seems like even king-grade divine power has a difference in strength. As they fought, Lu Ming was thinking. Tong Shi also controlled king-grade divine power. However, Lu Ming felt that if they were at the same level, Tong Shi would be stronger than Situ Xiao. There were also strong and weak king-grade divine powers. Bang! 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 The two of them exchanged dozens of moves, but it was still difficult to determine the winner. How is that possible? How can he be this strong? Situ Xiao roared in his heart. At this moment, he was a little anxious. He did not want Lu Ming to kneel now. He was thinking about how to win. Otherwise, he would lose 20,000 divine crystals. Below the fighting ring, the most shocked person was Kong Long. His face was as white as snow, without a trace of blood, and he kept muttering, "How is that possible? How could this kid be so strong? Damn it, damn it!" At the same time, he felt a lingering fear. Fortunately, Lu Ming did not agree to fight with him. Otherwise, he would have been defeated miserably. I hope Situ Xiao can defeat him. Kong Long prayed in his heart. Unfortunately, his wish was destined to come to nothing. Is this all you've got? Then let's end this. Lu Ming's voice was heard. At the same time, his strength suddenly soared. The double combat power of the battle formula was activated. After activating the doubling of combat strength, Lu Ming's combat strength was enough to fight with a 4th-level Void God realm existence. How could Situ Xiao be a match for him? Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch, and the terrifying force of his fist crushed towards Situ Xiao with the force of a mountain. Kacha! Situ Xiao's arm was broken by Lu Ming's fist force. He retreated rapidly and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Bang! Lu Ming took a step forward and continued to attack. Situ Xiao took out a divine weapon to counterattack, but he was sent flying by Lu Ming with a few moves. Kneel down! Lu Ming shouted coldly. He raised his hand and pressed down. The power of domination condensed into a huge palm and pressed down on Situ Xiao. Situ Xiao roared and mustered all his strength to resist. However, he was no match for Lu Ming and could not withstand his power. Boom! The powerful force acted on Situ Xiao's body. His body arched and with a final thud, he knelt on the ground in front of Lu Ming. Ah! Situ Xiao roared madly. He was the young master of the Walkabout sect, and yet he was kneeling in front of Lu Ming. He was so mad with hatred that he wanted to grind Lu Ming's bones and scatter his ashes. What are you shouting for? A loss is a loss, what's the use of shouting? Lu Ming berated him. With a wave of his palm, Situ Xiao's body flew out of the fighting ring. He spat out a mouthful of blood and could not get up for a long time. Lu Ming did not kill Situ Xiao as it was unnecessary. And if he really killed Situ Xiao, free and unfettered sect would probably go crazy and attack the righteous army with all their might, which would be disadvantageous to them. He lost. Situ Xiao actually lost. A transformation void martial artist can actually defeat a second-level void god realm heaven's favorite. How is this possible? The power of a ruler. It's the power of a ruler. He controls the power of a ruler. What? It's the power of a ruler. No wonder. The scene was noisy. Many people recognized Lu Ming's power. It was the power of domination. Chapter 2601 Dandan, Bubble's origin. Once the chief sovereign's power was transformed into divine power, it would become the chief sovereign's divine power. This was a divine-grade divine power. Even in the vast primal universe, it was a very rare divine power. The chaotic astral river had never appeared before. Now, someone could actually control the power of a ruler. No wonder he's so terrifying. He could defeat an empty god when he's only at the transformation void martial stage. It's too shocking. It's the power of a ruler. Which force is this monster from? It's a pity that his cultivation is too low. Otherwise, he would be terrifying. Many people looked at Lu Ming in shock. I've still been recognized. Lu Ming himself was somewhat speechless. When he made his move just now, he had already done some tricks and concealed his power, but people still recognized his power of domination. The main thing was that once the ruler's power was used, its characteristics were too obvious, and it would be easy to be recognized. It seems that I still have to find a way to hide the characteristics of the power of domination. Otherwise, it'll be recognized as soon as I make a move in the future. It'll be too eye-catching. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. It was not a good thing to attract too much attention before one was too strong. Sometimes, it would even attract a fatal disaster. Senior, I won. Lu Ming walked toward the silver-haired old man. Little brother is truly a peerless genius. If there's a chance, this old man will treat you to a drink. The silver-haired elder smiled and took out 2 storage rings. Sing them to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took it and put it away. He smiled. I still have something to do. If there's a chance in the future, I'll definitely treat you to a drink. After exchanging some pleasantries, Lu Ming and Tong Shi left the place together. Lu Ming, I'll definitely get my revenge. Below the fighting ring, Situ Xiao struggled to get up. He looked in the direction where Lu Ming had left, his face ashen and full of resentment. Lu Ming and Tong Shi did not stop. They arrived at the teleportation array in Yunfeng City and headed towards True Sky Star. A few days later, Lu Ming returned to the True Heaven Star. This time, he won 20,000 divine crystals from Situ Xiao. Lu Ming was in a great mood. This trip to Yunfeng City had not been in vain. Lu Ming now had 38,000 divine crystals, a few thousand more than before. Back at his residence, Lu Ming took out a pile of divine artifact fragments and gave them to Qiu Qiu to eat. Qiu Qiu was instantly extremely excited. It hugged a large pile of divine artifact fragments and ate them happily. At this moment, Lu Ming looked in one direction. There was a powerful aura coming from that direction. A giant turtle appeared in the void, and countless runes filled the air. Dan, Lu Ming muttered. He took a step forward and appeared above a mansion in the city. This mansion used to be Dandan's residence. Dandan was trying to break through to the martial god realm. It had been in seclusion all these years since it came to the desolate universe, and it had finally begun to try to break through to the martial god realm. Brother Lu Ming. A figure flashed and Bubbles appeared beside Lu Ming. She grabbed Lu Ming's hand and shook it vigorously. It had been a while since they last met, and Bubbles' cultivation base had improved significantly. She was now a peak heavenly emperor. Needless to say, Bubbles' talent was definitely top-notch. Moreover, the cultivation environment in the primeval universe was too good. In addition, Lu Ming had given her some resources. It was normal for her cultivation to improve by leaps and bounds. However, even after so many years, Bubbles still looked like she was 6 or 7 years old. Her growth rate was shockingly slow. Buzz! And NBSP whoosh! Many figures appeared nearby, all attracted by Dandan's breakthrough. That old turtle actually broke through faster than us. The Tan longhorn beetle sighed. Ching Tsang, the 9-lives devilish silkworm, and the others sighed. They had broken through to the demigod realm at about the same time as Dandan, but now, they were still some distance away from the martial god realm. On the other hand, Dandan had already broken through. Boom! The aura in Dandan's mansion became stronger. A huge turtle figure was suspended in the air. Endless energy between heaven and earth gathered towards Dandan. This guy's breakthrough really caused a huge commotion. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. Although it wasn't as loud as Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjin's breakthrough, it was much more intense than the others. The divine turtle of the world came from the primeval universe. It's indeed extraordinary. At this time, the ancestral dragon also appeared not far away. The divine turtle of the world came from the primal universe? Lu Ming was puzzled. The Tan longhorn beetle, 9-lives devilish silkworm, Qing Tsang, and the others also looked at the ancestral dragon curiously. They didn't know this. Not bad. Zhu Long nodded. Back then, the top 10 war beasts of the heaven realm were mostly mutations of various divine beast races. They had unique talents, but there were also a few that came from the primal universe. The world turtle was one of them. The other one is this little guy. The ancestral dragon looked at Bubbles. Bubbles, are you also from the desolate universe? Lu Ming muttered. Other than these two, the saint spirit ants also come from the primeval universe. Unfortunately, they died in the ancient war. The ancestral dragon sighed. At this moment, Dandan's aura was even more shocking. Like a black hole, she was madly absorbing the divine chi outside. You don't have enough divine chi, go. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that Dandan was breaking through. It was not enough to absorb the divine chi from the outside. He waved his hand and 3,000 divine crystals flew out toward Dandan. The divine crystal shattered and turned into divine chi that was absorbed by Dandan. After absorbing these divine crystals, Dandan's aura reached its peak, and then it converged again. Ha ha ha, I've broken through and finally reached the martial god realm. A savage voice came out and soared into the sky. The divine power in his body shook, and he was insufferably arrogant. He felt that he was filled with an incomparably strong power that seemed to be inexhaustible. He swept his gaze and saw Lu Ming and the rest. Lu Ming, come. Let's have a match. I won't be Serpa. Said by you. I'll let you know how powerful I am. Dandan shouted arrogantly. Oh, sure. Lu Ming grinned, stepped into the air, and slapped him. A large purple gold hand formed and pressed down on Dandan. Ah, Lu Ming, you. As soon as Lu Ming made his move, Dandan's expression changed. She tried her best to resist but it was useless. Under the big hand, Dandan fell to the ground like a meteorite, stirring up dust. Ah, Lu Ming, you tricked me. The next moment, Dandan rushed out with a dejected face, looking as miserable as she could be. Ha 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 ha, the Tan longhorn and the others laughed so hard that they were bent over, tears flowing down their faces. You were the one who wanted to challenge me. Lu Ming had an innocent look. You're a pervert. Dandan held back for a long time before she managed to hold back this sentence. He had thought that after his breakthrough, his combat strength had increased tremendously and the divine power he controlled was extraordinary. He thought that he could compete with Lu Ming. Now, it seemed that he was wrong. He made up his mind that in the future, unless he was very confident, he would never challenge Lu Ming. Old turtle, you're breaking through to the martial god realm. Aren't you going to treat us to a drink? Let's go and drink some wine. Ching Tsang, the T.I., Tanos, and the others dragged Dandan away and asked her to treat them to a drink. As the people from the heaven realm became stronger and stronger, everyone's mood became more relaxed. Chapter 2602 Northern Shang Planet. When he returned to his residence, he saw that Qiu was still hugging a pile of divine artifact fragments and gnawing on them. The material of the divine artifact fragments was no small matter, so Qiu naturally didn't digest them so quickly. Moreover, it would stop to digest every piece it ate. Lu Ming did not bother with Qiu and cultivated alone at the side. In the blink of an eye, half a year said. Qiu devoured all the divine artifact fragments that Lu Ming had bought. It finally evolved again and its cultivation advanced to the third level of the Void God realm. However, Lu Ming did not have any divine artifact fragments for it. He could only give some ordinary metal attribute crafting materials to Qiu to eat while Lu Ming continued to comprehend and cultivate. Just like that, 5 years said in the blink of an eye. After 5 years of hard work, Lu Ming had made great progress in all aspects. His cultivation had improved again, and he had become a 5-star heavenly emperor. Of course, he had also used more than 10,000 divine crystals. In addition, his understanding of the battle symbol art was getting deeper and deeper. Now, when he used the battle symbol art, it increased his attack power more and more. Furthermore, the chances of triggering the double combat strength were getting higher and higher. On average, it only took 2 tries to trigger it. However, he seemed to have reached a bottleneck in his cultivation of the battle character formula. It had been a while since Lu Ming had made any progress. Just bitter cultivation isn't enough. I still need to go out and take risks to temper myself. Lu Ming ended his cultivation and pondered in his heart. And NBSP, if he didn't encounter a bottleneck, then he could just cultivate quietly. But once he did, the effect wouldn't be great. He needed to fight to gain inspiration and break through. This was also the reason why many people would often go out and adventure. Not only could they obtain opportunities, but they could also temper themselves and break through bottlenecks. Let's go to the righteous army and take a look. Lu Ming walked out and headed toward the righteous army. When they arrived at the righteous army headquarters, no one stopped them. Although Lu Ming and the rest had not officially joined the righteous army had already treated them as a part of it. 8:13 When they arrived at the righteous army headquarters, no one stopped them. Although Lu Ming and the rest had not officially joined the righteous army had already treated them as a part of it. There was a mission hall in the righteous army headquarters. In fact, most of the forces would have this kind of mission palace. Senior, is there anyone suitable for ethereal god realm? Lu Ming went to a counter and asked a white-haired elder. The biggest and most frequent mission recently is naturally the battle with the Yuan Luo Palace and the Carefree sect. The white-haired old man said. The Yuan Luo Palace and the Carefree sect. Lu Ming frowned slightly. That's right. In the past few years, the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout sect have joined forces to attack some of the vital planets controlled by our righteous army. Our righteous army has also been sending experts to fight the two sides. Anyone who kills the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout sect will be rewarded. The white-haired old man said. The Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout sect are working together? Is it because I beat up that Situ Shao last time? Lu Ming could not help but think this way. That Walkabout sect has long wanted to join forces with the Yuan Luo Palace to deal with my righteous army. Now, they've finally made their move. Little guy, do you want to take this mission? If you take this mission, it'll help you register. The white-haired old man asked. Alright, then I'll accept this mission. Lu Ming nodded. It seemed that the two sides did not attack him because he had beaten up Sita Shao. Instead, the Origin Luo Palace and the Walkabout sect had planned to join forces for a long time. Very soon, the old man completed the procedures for Lu Ming. I've helped you register. Many people have accepted this mission recently. Come here tomorrow morning and meet up with the others. We'll set off for the northern merchant planet together. The white-haired elder gave Lu Ming a black iron token. Lu Ming took it and left the place. A day passed, said in the blink of an eye. The next morning, Lu Ming returned to the mission's hall. Those who are on a mission to North Merchant Planet, meet here. The moment Lu Ming arrived, he heard someone shouting in the mission's hall. Lu Ming walked over. Brother, are you going to North Merchant Planet for a mission? The burly man looked at Lu Ming. Yes, I am. Lu Ming took out the black iron token. Alright, then we'll wait here for now. When most of the people are here, we'll set off. The burly man said. Lu Ming nodded and walked to the side. As time passed, more and more people gathered. Half an hour later, more than 200 people had gathered there. They were all going to North Shang Planet to carry out missions. All of them were at the Void God realm. Alright, we're almost there. Let's go. The burly man said. Everyone headed towards the teleportation array. One teleportation array couldn't teleport so many people at once, so they had to take turns. Groups of people went up and stepped into the teleportation array, disappearing into it. Soon, it was Lu Ming's turn. He stepped into the teleportation array and appeared on a flat ground. This place is an island. As soon as he appeared, Lu Ming could hear the sound of waves crashing from all directions. There was also a salty sea breeze blowing, making him feel refreshed. Lu Ming rose into the air and looked around. He realized that he was indeed on an island. The island was not big and he could see the boundless ocean at a glance. Soon, everyone had said through the teleportation array. Follow me. We'll head to 7-Star Island first before we assign you your tasks. Also, I'll explain the current situation on the northern merchant planet to you on the way. The burly man said. Everyone followed the burly man and flew out of the island, flying towards the vast sea. The big man's name was Pan Jiang. He had always been stationed on planet North Shang. This time, he had come specifically to pick them up. On the way, Pan Jiang explained the current situation on North Business Planet. The situation on the Northern Shang Planet was a bit special. It was located on the border between the Righteous Heaven Army and the Origin Hall, so it had become a place that the two forces had to fight for. Thus, half of the planet was occupied by the Righteous Army and half by the Origin Hall. The Northern Shang continent and ocean each took up 50% of the planet's surface area. The Righteous Heaven Army occupied the Northern Shang's ocean and ocean islands to develop the resources there. As for the Origin Luo Hall, they occupied a portion of the Northern Shang planet's land and exploited all the resources there. The two sides often fought each other, and there would often be experts from the Righteous Sky Army who would secretly enter the Northern Shang planet to kill people from the Yuan Luo Palace and seize the resources. Or, there were people from the Yuan Luo Palace who sneaked into the islands to kill the experts of the Righteous Army. In short, the two sides had never stopped killing each other. However, in the past 2 years, the Yuan Luo Palace had invested more forces on the North Shang planet, and the killing between the two sides had become more frequent. The Righteous Heaven Army had also been increasing the strength of the Northern Shang planet. The 7-Star Island was the Righteous Sky Army's headquarters on the Northern Shang planet. After flying across the vast ocean, they said by many islands. 3 days later, they finally arrived at 7-Star Island. The 7-Star Island was huge. Although it was called an island, it was actually no different from a continent. At least, in Lu Ming's opinion, the area of the 7-Star Island was definitely not smaller than the Great Pure Heaven in the Heaven Realm. People were coming and going on the 7-Star Island. There were a lot of them, and they were all experts. At first glance, there were no less than several thousand of them, and all of them were at the ethereal god realm. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. It was only 7-star island and there were already so many experts. One could imagine the strength of the entire righteous army. Chapter 2603 Evil God Race. Three-eyed race. One had to know that the righteous heaven army had occupied more than a dozen life planets. There were still some planets that had no living beings, but there were experts guarding them and mining resources. How many virtual god-level powerhouses were there in the entire righteous army? There were probably no less than tens of thousands of them. And in the entire chaotic astral river, there are at least 800, if not 1,000, forces that are not weaker or stronger than the righteous heavenly army. It was simply difficult to count how many void god realm experts there were in the entire chaotic astral river. No wonder the primeval universe was also known as the divine realm, the world of deities. They stopped at an open S.P.C.E. on 7-star island. You guys wait for me here. I'll go ask where we're going to be stationed. After saying that, Pan Jiang flew into a large hall. Not long after, Pan Jiang came out of the main hall and said, "The island we are going to guard is Qinjin Island. Follow me." Pan Jiang took the lead and flew in one direction, followed by the others. On the way, Pan Jiang explained the situation of Qindao. Qinjin Island was located to the north of 7-star Island. It was an island with a mineral vein. On the island, there was a large aged gold mine. Qinjin was a metal used for refining weapons. Although it was not very precious or rare, it had a wide range of uses. Usually, a part of Qinjin would be added to the forging of low-grade divine weapons as an auxiliary material to increase the toughness of the divine weapon. Therefore, Qinjin Dao would often be attacked by the Yuanluo Palace. Qinjin Dao originally had 600 empty god realm experts, but now, it was getting harder and harder to defend, so he needed more help. They were the reinforcements for Qinjin Dao. A day later, they arrived at Qinjing Island. Golden Island wasn't very big. There was a large mine vein on it, surrounded by many caves. Each cave was guarded by ethereal god realm experts. There were tens of thousands of creatures below the ethereal god realm in the mine. They were mining day and night. When Lu Ming and the rest arrived, there were naturally people to receive them and assign them cave abodes. Very soon, Lu Ming was assigned to a cave abode. The cave abode was quite spacious and it was quite rich in divine qi. Lu Ming was just about to sit down and rest. Thump. 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 Outside, the sound of war drums could be heard. Enemy attack, roars reverberated throughout the entire island. What a coincidence, Lu Ming was a little speechless. They had just arrived and they were attacked. Without much time to think, Lu Ming dashed out of the cave abode in a flash. Boom. 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 Whoosh. 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 Deafening rumbles came from the sky above the island. The glints of blades and swords lit up the sky. Divine power of all colors collided in the air. Many people were already fighting fiercely. Kill. Lu Ming soared into the sky and charged at a burly man with wide fangs. Each of them had a black metal token with them. The black metal token was both a mission token and an ident. 1. Tai token. It was bound to their life aura, and once they died, the black metal token would shatter. They could distinguish each other's ident. 1. Tai through the aura emitted by the black metal token. This way, it would be easy to tell if they were from the Yuanluo Palace. Kid, you are only at the transformation void martial stage and you dare to fight with me. I will eat you. The burly man with wide fangs had a murderous look in his eyes. He charged at Lu Ming and slashed with his saber. His aura was not weak. He had a cultivation base of 2nd-level void god realm. Boom. Lu Ming immediately activated the double combat power of the battle formula. At the same time, he took out the meteor spear and stabbed. The meteor spear seemed to have turned into a real meteor. It flashed and then disappeared. The brows of the big man with wide mouth and fangs were directly pierced through, and he died on the spot. Kill! Lu Ming wielded his meteor spear and charged at another Yuanluo Palace expert. That expert was at 3rd level Void God Realm, but he was still unable to block Lu Ming's spear and was stabbed to death. Now, Lu Ming's cultivation level had broken through to 5-star Heavenly Emperor, and his combat strength had increased by another level. When Lu Ming was a 4-star Celestial Arch, he could fight against a 4th level Void God level powerhouse with the double combat power of the battle formula. Now, with Lu Ming's cultivation and the double combat power of the battle formula, he could kill a 4th-tier Void God level powerhouse. Of course, he might not be a match for a 5th-level Void God realm powerhouse. The main thing was that the gap between each level of cultivation in the Heavenly Emperor realm was not as large as the gap between each level in the Void God realm. If he wanted to fight against a 5th-level Void God level existence, Lu Ming would probably need to break through to the 6-star Heavenly Emperor realm. Brat, you're looking for death. Seeing that Lu Ming had killed 2 people in a row, a burly man with purple skin fixed his eyes on Lu Ming and charged toward him. See law. This purple-skinned burly man was using a pair of halberds. When he waved them, the power was terrifying. Peak of the 4th level of the Void God realm, good. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He waved his meteor spear and charged over. The long spear vibrated and a dazzling spear radiance burst out, clashing with the purple-skinned burly man. Clang! Clang! The two of them clashed madly and exchanged dozens of moves in the blink of an eye. Who? The purple-skinned burly man could not withstand the attack and was suppressed by Lu Ming. He retreated continuously. How is that possible? The purple-skinned man was extremely shocked. Lu Ming only had the cultivation of the transformation void martial stage. How could he have such strong combat strength? He was at the peak of the 4th level Void God realm, yet he was not Lu Ming's match and was suppressed by Lu Ming. It was simply like a fantasy story. The purple-skinned burly man burst out in a frenzy, waving his halberd wildly as he fought Lu Ming. Not enough, not strong enough. Lu Ming muttered in his heart. He did not stop his spear, forcing the other party to retreat. An existence at the 4th level of the Void God realm couldn't give him too much pressure, so it was limited in his training. Bang! After a few more moves, the other party was whipped by Lu Ming's long spear. His body retreated rapidly and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Die! Lu Ming said coldly. He thrust his spear at the purple-skinned burly man's glabella at an unbelievable speed. Not good. The purple-skinned burly man was shocked and retreated frantically. However, his retreating speed could not keep up with Lu Ming's retreating speed. Buzz! At this moment, a snow-white saber light flashed past. It was extremely fast and accurately cut Lu Ming's long spear. Buzz! The long spear trembled violently and a terrifying blade force followed Lu Ming's long spear and rushed towards his arm. Lu Ming felt a sharp pain in his palm as if it was about to be cut. Lu Ming had to release his power of domination to block the saber force. In the next moment, a skinny old man with purple hair appeared in front of the purple-skinned man. He had 3 eyes on his forehead. Evil God Tribe. Lu Ming was shocked. This old man was very similar to the evil god race of the evil god world. It was very likely that he was from the same race as the non-human divine ancestor. Lu Ming had read up on a lot of information in the righteous army and knew that there was a race called the Three-Eyed Race in the primeval universe. The evil god race most likely belonged to the Three-Eyed Race. Chapter 2604 Chio's Might. This burly man was clearly a member of the Three-Eyed Race, but he was many times stronger than the non-human divine ancestor. 5th level Void God Realm. Lu Ming muttered. The way of a ruler. Boy, it seems that you are the ant that escaped from that small kiliacosm. All my people in that small kiliacosm died in your hands. Today, I will burn your bones and scatter your ashes. The three-eyed elder's eyes were cold as he stepped forward. Divine power surged and the saber in his hand trembled, forming a terrifying saber chi that pressed down on Lu Ming. Come on. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with a strong desire to fight. Only an expert at the 5th level of the Void God realm could give him such great pressure. In Lu Ming's body, the power of domination and the power of the world circulated crazily. The meteor spear glowed and raised his combat strength to the extreme. Kill! The three-eyed race's old man roared. His battle blade was deathly white as it cut through the void. It was extremely fast as it charged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming waved his long spear and welcomed the attack. Clang! 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 In an instant, the two of them had exchanged more than 10 moves. Lu Ming could feel that the other party's saber force was like an avalanche, surging towards him in waves. It was shockingly powerful. The long spear trembled and Lu Ming's arm went numb. He was forced to retreat by this force. Impressive. 5th tier Void God realm. Impressive indeed. Am not his match. Lu Ming had a thought in his mind. Previously, he had estimated that he would not be a match for a 5th level Void God. Now that they had exchanged blows, he realized that the combat strength of a 5th level Void God was beyond his expectations. In the Void God realm, the span of each level was very large. The higher the level, the greater the span. However, this further ignited his battle intent. Lu Ming took a step in the air and his body became one with the spear. He turned into a spear ray and charged towards the three-eyed elder. This kid, the three-eyed race's old man's eyes flashed with a trace of shock. The killing intent in his heart became even more intense as he slashed out his saber towards Lu Ming. The two of them continued to fight. However, Lu Ming was no match for the three-eyed race's elder. He was being suppressed by the three-eyed race's elder and was forced to retreat continuously. However, Lu Ming's tenacity was shocking. He blocked the three-eyed race's elder with all his might. It was not easy for the other party to kill him. In the blink of an eye, the two of them exchanged dozens of moves. Satisfying, satisfying, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Deep down, he was still a warmonger and desired to take risks and kill. At this moment, his blood was boiling once again. This kid is too terrifying. I must get rid of him. I must get rid of him. The more they fought, the more terrified the three-eyed race old man became. Lu Ming was too powerful. He was only at the transformation void martial stage but he had such powerful combat strength. He had never even heard of him, let alone seen him. With such battle prowess, how terrifying would it be if he became a god? Quick, all of you attack together with me and kill this brat. The three-eyed god race messaged the surrounding experts of the Yuanluo Palace. At this moment, the entire Chen gold mine was in an intense battle. There were 600 to 700 people from the Yuanluo Palace who had come to ambush them. They were all Void God realm experts, and they were locked in a fierce battle with the True Sky Army experts. There were many people fighting around Lu Ming and the three-eyed divine race elder. Naturally, some experts had noticed Lu Ming. Instantly, some of the Yuanluo Palace's experts shook off their opponents and rushed toward Lu Ming. The experts of the righteous army wanted to stop him, but they couldn't catch up. At that moment, at least 3 experts rushed toward Lu Ming. All 3 of them were at the 5th level of the Void God realm. Boom! 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 The 3 5th-level Void God-level powerhouses attacked at the same time, including the purple-skinned burly man who was suppressed by Lu Ming earlier. With so many experts attacking at the same time, Lu Ming would definitely not be able to stop them. He would be killed instantly. Ball ball, Lu Ming waved his hand and the bracelet that he had been wearing on his wrist flew out. This bangle was naturally Qiuqiu's transformation. Qiuqiu flew out and expanded rapidly. Its body, which was like liquid metal, wriggled and turned into a huge shield, blocking in front of Lu Ming. Thump! Boom! A series of explosions rang out. All the attacks were blocked, but Lu Ming was completely fine. Then, Chocho's body moved and turned into a metal ball with a diameter of 10 meters. It smashed toward the purple-skinned man. Puchi. The purple-skinned burly man's body was like a huge watermelon. Chocho smashed it into pieces and he died on the spot. Now that Chocho had advanced to the third level of the Void God realm, its combat strength had skyrocketed. When Chocho was at the first level of the Void God realm, it could already fight against a fourth-level Void God realm existence. Now, it wouldn't be afraid even if it faced a sixth-level Void God realm expert. The purple-skinned burly man was only at the fourth level of the Void God realm, so he naturally couldn't block Chocho's attack. After killing the purple-skinned burly man, Chocho's body bounced and smashed towards a fifth-level Void God realm expert. Bang! That expert was directly sent flying, and he spat out a large mouthful of blood. What kind of monster is this? The others felt their blood run cold. This metal-like ball didn't look like a divine weapon, but it was shockingly powerful. A fifth-level Void God realm existence was forced to spit out blood and retreat after being seriously injured by a single strike. Its power was too terrifying. Buzz! The metal ball then flew toward the three-eyed God race elder. Let's join hands, let's join hands. The old man from the three-eyed God race roared. He joined forces with the other three fifth-level Void God realm experts and launched his strongest attack, which collided with Chocho. Boom! After a violent explosion, the three-eyed God race elder and the three fifth-level ethereal God realm cultivators trembled violently. They were forced back and blood flowed from the corners of their mouths. Chocho's current strength was comparable to a sixth-level Void God realm. A sixth-level Void God realm was much stronger than a fifth-level Void God realm. Even if the three-eyed God race elder and the other three joined forces, they wouldn't be able to withstand Chocho's attack. Chocho, continue. Lu Ming called out to Chocho. At the same time, he rushed over and attacked with all his might. He kept blasting out attacks, specifically targeting the injured fifth-level Nihility God stage expert. Chocho also rushed out and swelled into a metal ball with a diameter of 10 meters, constantly bombarding the other party. And at this moment, the experts of the Righteous Heaven Army had also arrived and were charging towards the three-eyed Celestial Race Elder and the others. And NBSP this way, there was no way they could block it. In an instant, the three-eyed God Race Elder and the other three were all injured, especially the one who had been struck by Chocho. His injuries were even more severe. Chocho, smash! Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Chocho. Boom! Chocho stared at the injured existence and smashed it with all its might. The other party was already injured, so how could he block it? Half of his body exploded from the blow, and he almost died. How could Lu Ming miss such an opportunity? The meteor spear pierced out and killed the person completely. With a sweep of the power of domination, he put away the person's storage ring. Of course, Lu Ming also put away the divine weapon that the other party used. The other party was a fifth-level Void God realm expert, so he must be rich. How could he miss this opportunity? Retreat, quickly retreat. The three from the three-eye race saw that one of them had been killed and were so scared that they didn't dare to fight anymore. They quickly retreated. Chapter 2605. About to advance again. However, Lu Ming and the rest would not let the other party off easily. Lu Ming and a few other righteous army powerhouses joined forces and held the three-eyed celestial race elders back. Chocho, smash! Lu Ming fixed his gaze on the three-eyed race's elder. He called Chocho over and smashed it in his face. This old man will fight you to the death. The three-eyed race's old man bellowed in anger. The battle blade in his hand madly slashed towards Chocho. On Chocho's round body, a huge mouth full of fangs suddenly appeared and bit down on the three-eyed race's old man's saber. Bang! The battle blade of the three-eyed race's old man was directly bitten off. The three-eyed race old man was dumbfounded, stunned, completely stunned. He felt that he was in a complete mess. This battle saber of his was a level 5 low-grade god artifact. It was incomparably tough, so how could it be broken so easily? But now, it was broken by Qiu in one bite. He was really dumbfounded. At this moment, Lu Ming seized the opportunity and thrust his spear forward, piercing through the glabella of the three-eyed race's old man and killing him. With a wave of his hand, he collected the storage ring of the three-eyed god race elder. Crack! Crack! Qiu opened its mouth wide and swallowed the other party's battle saber in 2 or 3 bites. It chewed with a satisfied expression, making crunching sounds as it ate. Even the few experts of the righteous army were stunned. The other 2 experts of the Yuanluo Palace seized the opportunity and broke out of their encirclement. Retreat, retreat! At this moment, a voice reverberated throughout the entire area from the sky. He was a terrifying existence from the Yuanluo Palace. The aura he exuded was shocking and unfathomable. Lu Ming estimated that he was a 9th-tier Void God Realm expert. However, there were also people of this level in the righteous army. The 2 of them had been fighting for a long time. Now that they had separated, the people from the Yuanluo Palace had given the order to retreat. Buzz! Buzz! The experts from the Yuanluo Palace retreated and turned into streaks of light, disappearing without a trace. The righteous army did not pursue. They understood that they should not pursue a cornered enemy. Furthermore, their mission was to guard King Chen Island. The people of the Yuanluo Palace retreated, and the righteous army checked the casualties and cleaned up the battlefield before returning to their cave abodes. After a great battle, some people were injured, some were heavily damaged, and they all needed to recover. Lu Ming returned to his cave abode and took out some divine crystals to start recovering. Triggering the double battle power of the battle character formula would consume a lot of world power and ruler power. Half an hour later, Lu Ming had fully recovered. Then, a black iron token appeared in his hand. It was the mission token. At this moment, the black metal token was emitting a faint light. Lu Ming guessed that this token came from killing the Yuanluo Palace's experts. However, if he brought it back, the Hall of Missions would be able to find out about Lu Ming's battle results through some method and reward him accordingly. After keeping the token, Lu Ming took out a few storage rings. These few storage rings were obtained by Lu Ming when he killed his enemies. There were 2 items left behind by 5th-level Void God Realm powerhouses. Lu Ming was looking forward to it and began to count them. After counting, Lu Ming could not stop smiling. There were a total of 60,000 divine crystals. In addition to the divine crystals from before, Lu Ming had nearly 100,000 divine crystals. In addition, there were more than a dozen divine weapons of various levels. And NBSP, the highest god artifact, was a level 5 low-quality god artifact, while the others were level 3 and level 4. Added together, they were also worth a lot. Lu Ming casually threw 2 handfuls of level 3 low-grade divine artifacts to Qiu. Qiu grabbed it and ate it quickly. Lu Ming smiled and closed his eyes to cultivate. In his sea of consciousness, Jing Ye's painting unfurled, and a powerful sovereign's will emanated from it. Lu Ming calmed his heart and started to comprehend. This cultivation lasted for 10 days. These 10 days were peaceful and the Yuanluo Palace did not attack. Lu Ming stood up after he ended his cultivation. Where's that fellow Qiu? Lu Ming swept his gaze around but did not find any traces of Qiu. Lu Ming scanned the cave abode and soon, he made a discovery. Other than the holes, the cave was sealed on all 4 sides. It was made of the special rock of the mine vein here, which was extremely hard. But now, a cave had appeared in the depths of the cave. Looking at the marks, it was clearly gnawed out. On both sides of the cave, there were teeth marks. This can't be gnawed out by Qiu, right? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Then, his muscles and bones began to wriggle. Finally, his entire body shrank and he rushed into the cave. The cave was very long. Lu Ming walked for a few thousand meters before he saw Qiu. Qiu was currently gnawing at the surrounding rocks with its mouth wide open. The rocks here were actually the old gold mine. Chen Jinquang had mixed with the rock, becoming extremely hard. Normally, to extract Chen Jin, one had to extract it from the rock mine, which was a complicated process. However, Qiu directly swallowed the mineral vein in big mouthfuls. After a while, it spat out some powder and impurities. This guy can't be absorbing the Chen Jin inside, right? How can he do that? Lu Ming was somewhat shocked. Qiu noticed Lu Ming and swept a glance at him before continuing to gobble up the food. It ate very quickly and soon, a huge cave was formed in the area. Lu Ming looked on with interest. After eating for half a day, Qiu's body had expanded by a full size before it stopped. It rolled to the side like a ball and even burped before it stopped moving. It was obvious that he had eaten too much and was beginning to digest. This fellow, Lu Ming smiled and did not bother about it. In any case, this mine vein was incomparably huge. Qiu shouldn't be discovered if it ate some. Lu Ming returned to the cave abode and continued cultivating. Occasionally, he would walk out of the cave abode to inquire about the situation outside. During this time, no one from the Yuanluo Palace had come to attack Qinjindao. A few days later, a piece of news came. The Yuanluo Palace had sent out a large number of experts to attack the Seven-Star Island. Could the Origin Luo Palace's true goal be the Seven-Star Island? Did you attack Qinjindao just to cover it up? Perhaps they want to take over Seven-Star Island and drive our righteous army out of the northern Shang planet. They want to take over the planet for themselves. It's very possible. Many people were guessing. As time passed, the attacks on Seven-Star Island became more and more frequent. The pressure on Seven-Star Island increased, and they began to transfer experts from the surrounding islands to reinforce them. Qinjindao originally had around 800 people guarding it, but 400 were transferred, leaving 400 people. Lu Ming was not transferred away. He was still in charge of Qinjing Island. Soon, Lu Ming had been on Qinjing Island for a month. On this day, Lu Ming felt a wave of fluctuations coming from the channel that Qiu had created. Lu Ming's figure moved and he rushed into the Pa-S sage. In the depths of the Pa-S sage, Qiu had already gnawed out a huge underground S.P.C.E., and a large number of mineral veins had been swallowed by Qiu. At this moment, Qiu's body was emitting waves of radiance. It was about to advance again. Chapter 2606 Coming again. Qiu was going to advance again. During this period of time, it had devoured a large amount of old gold. Although the old gold was not very precious, there was a lot of it. Qiu had gobbled up a huge underground hole in the underground S.P.C.E. of this area. It was unknown how many Qinjin it had swallowed. On the surface of Qiu, there was a radiance that spread out. It swelled and shrank at times. This continued for a while before it stabilized. It was a success. Lu Ming sensed that Qiu had already reached 4th level Void God level. Even Lu Ming was shocked by the speed of his improvement. When he first got Qiu on Myriad Gold Star, it was only at 1st stage Virtual God Realm. It had only been a few years, but it had already reached 4th stage Virtual God Realm. It wasn't that easy to advance to the Virtual God Realm. It wasn't something that the Heavenly Emperor Realm could compare to. However, Qiu seemed to have no bottlenecks at all. As long as it had precious metals, it could keep advancing. The primeval universe is really wonderful. There are even such creatures. However, the more abnormal they are, the better. Lu Ming could not stop smiling. Qiu bounced a few times in the air and flew to Lu Ming's side. It shrank rapidly and turned into a bangle that wrapped around Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming smiled and was about to go out to find out more. Thump! Thump! Boom! All of a sudden, a violent war drum sounded, and even the cave abode began to shake. Enemy attack! Outside, a loud roar could be heard. Buzz! Lu Ming did not hesitate and rushed out of the cave abode. So many people. Lu Ming was shocked the moment he rushed out of the cave abode. In the sky above the mine, many figures were flying around, each of them exuding a powerful aura. The experts of the Yuanluo Palace were all experts of the palace. This time, the number of experts from the palace was shocking. There were at least 1,000 of them. And now, the Zhengtian army of Qinjin Mine had only left about 400 experts to guard the place. Kill! 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 The experts of the Yuanluo Palace swooped down and attacked the righteous army. Pft! Pft! Blood splattered everywhere, and some of the righteous army's experts were immediately killed. There were too many people from the Yuanluo Palace, almost 3 times the number of the righteous army. The battle was completely one-sided if 2 or 3 of them joined forces to deal with one person from the righteous army. Kill! As soon as Lu Ming rushed out, 2 people charged at him. However, Lu Ming was not afraid of them at all. One of them was on 3rd level Void God level while the other was on 4th level Void God level. Lu Ming rushed over directly. The meteor spear appeared and he thrust it forward. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 dazzling spear lights pierced out. Pft! The 3rd level Void God Realm expert was pierced by the spear radiance and died on the spot. Although the 4th level Void God Realm expert blocked the attack, he was also forced to retreat. So strong. The 4th level Ethereal God Realm expert was shocked. Previously, he saw that Lu Ming was merely at the transformation Void Martial stage and thought that he could kill him easily. He did not expect that he had kicked an iron plate. Kill! After Lu Ming repelled the person, he continued to attack with his spear. The long spear vibrated and rays of spear radiance shot out. The other party tried his best to block, but it was still difficult to win. He retreated continuously and was in danger. That brat is still here. We must kill him. Kill him. At this moment, not far away, a few people flew over and stared at Lu Ming. It's them, Lu Ming's heart stirred. 2 of them were the 2 5th-level Void God existences who had escaped from him and Qiu previously. This time, these 2 people had brought 2 other experts to kill Lu Ming. The other 2's auras were terrifying, even stronger than those at the 5th level of Ethereal God Realm. He was an existence at the 6th level of Ethereal God Realm. This person's talent is heaven-defying. He must be killed. One of them fixed his gaze on Lu Ming. Today, he will die without a doubt. A 6th level Void God Realm existence said. The 4 of them charged at Lu Ming with all their might. Before they even reached him, they had already launched attacks at Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not take it head-on. He retreated quickly. Where do you think you're going? The 5 people were in hot pursuit as they approached Lu Ming rapidly. Qiu, smash! Lu Ming waved his hand and Qiu flew out, turning into a huge metal ball with a diameter of 10 meters. It smashed down on a 5th level Void God level existence. Not good. That 5th level Void God Realm existence knew how powerful Qiu was, so he retreated rapidly and dodged Qiu's attack. Be careful. This metal ball has the attack power of a 6th level Ethereal God Realm expert. A 5th level Void God Realm existence reminded. It's fine. It'll block this metal ball. You guys go and kill that kid. A 6th level Void God Realm burly man held a steel whip in his hand and rushed toward Qiu. He lashed out with the whip, and the SPCE whistled with extremely shocking power. Qiu also threw itself at the man. Boom! There was a terrifying explosion, and the result was that the 6th level Void God Realm burly man spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated. Now that Qiu had advanced to the 4th level of the Void God Realm, its combat strength had skyrocketed, and it was not something a 6th level Void God Realm existence could compare to. Why would I? The other 3 people's faces changed drastically, and they had expressions of disbelief. They had wanted to rush over to kill Lu Ming, but they were not on guard against the metal ball. Boom! After Qiu injured the burly man at the 6th level of the Void God Realm, it smashed toward the 2 existences at the 5th level of the Void God Realm. The 2 of them were caught off guard and were hit directly. After 2 screams, they died on the spot. Not good, retreat. The 6th level void god level existence's expression changed drastically. He retreated rapidly and put some distance between him and Qiuqiu. Retreat, retreat. At that moment, a roar came from the sky. It was a 9th level void god realm expert from the righteous army. The righteous army was no match for the Yuanluo palace. The difference in numbers was too great. A large number of experts had fallen in the first exchange. In just a short while, about 100 experts had fallen. You want to leave? None of you will be able to leave today. A cold voice sounded, and a few terrifying figures charged toward the 9th level ethereal god realm expert from the righteous army. Boom! The two sides collided. The figures from the Yuanluo palace were all at the 9th level of the void god realm, and there were 3 of them. 3 against 1, there was no suspense. In just a few moves, the expert from the righteous army let out an unwilling roar and was killed in the air. Kill them all, don't leave a single one alive. A 9th level ethereal god realm expert from the Yuanluo palace ordered. Charge, charge out. Gather and charge out, let's go. Someone from the righteous army shouted. The remaining 300 or so people rushed in one direction and gathered together. Qiuqiu, let's go. Lu Ming waved his hands to call Qiuqiu and rushed toward the group of people. Now, they could only survive if they attacked together. Otherwise, they would all die. Lu Ming and Qiuqiu rushed toward the righteous army. Kill that brat. We must kill him. The 6th level void god level man who was injured by Qiuqiu earlier roared with a knife-like killing intent. Whoosh! Then, a terrifying saber light slashed at Lu Ming. Chapter 2607 God's Cave Abode. Lu Ming was about to fly toward the righteous army when a terrifying saber light slashed at him. The saber beam was pale and terrifying. Before it even reached him, Lu Ming's heart was beating rapidly, and the hair on his body stood on end. It was dangerous, extremely dangerous. This was definitely an extremely terrifying existence that had made a move. His strength far exceeded that of a 6th level void god realm. In fact, it was not just a 7th level void god realm. A terrifying person had his eyes on Lu Ming. Not good. Lu Ming could only think about it for a year. It was too late to defend. At this moment, Qiuqiu appeared on Lu Ming's left side. It transformed into a shield and blocked his way. Boom! That saber light slashed onto Qiuqiu's body and directly pierced through the shield that Qiuqiu had transformed into. However, Qiuqiu had already absorbed most of the saber light's power. The remaining power was very limited and its speed had been greatly reduced. Lu Ming finally reacted and swept his meteor spear, sweeping it across the saber light and blocking it. Ball, Lu Ming's heart tightened. Qiuqiu had been pierced through. Would it be all right? The next moment, Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. Qiuqiu's body turned into a ball again. It jumped and returned to Lu Ming's shoulder as if nothing had happened. This fellow is really awesome, Lu Ming sighed in his heart. He then sped up and rushed toward the people of the righteous army. There's actually such a treasure. Not far away, a silver-haired old man was staring at Qiuqiu with a burning gaze. The silver-haired old man held a silver saber in his hand. He was the one who had slashed out with the saber just now. He moved his body and charged at Lu Ming at top speed. At this moment, Lu Ming had already met up with the people from the righteous army. Close to 300 people gathered together, like a sharp knife, they charged out with all their strength. Kill, kill, kill. More than 1,000 people from the Yuanluo palace surrounded Lu Ming and his group, launching attacks at them. Lu Ming was also in the crowd. He waved his long spear and blocked the attacks from all directions. Brat, die. The silver-haired elder had his eyes on Lu Ming. He kept slashing his silver saber at Lu Ming. Fortunately, Qiuqiu transformed into a shield and protected Lu Ming's vital points. It blocked the other party's attack. Otherwise, Lu Ming would most likely be in danger. Charge! 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 The people of the righteous army charged forward with all their might, and some of them had even burned their divine power. Although the righteous army kept dying in battle, it was effective. After a while, they finally broke out of the encirclement and flew toward the vast ocean. Don't chase, that matter is more important. A 9th-level Void God Realm expert stopped the others and came to the center of the Qinjin mine. It should be here. Everyone, gather your strength and break open this mine vein. A 9th-level Void God Realm expert ordered. Yes. Thousands of people from the Yuanluo Palace gathered and attacked at the same time. One after another, they attacked the Qinjin or vein. Boom! Boom! The old gold mine rumbled and shattered rocks flew everywhere. However, the people from the Yuanluo Palace didn't even look at it. Their goal didn't seem to be the Qinjin mine. Lu Ming and the group flew at high speed. After flying for more than 100,000 miles, they slowed down when they realized that the people from the Origin Luo Palace were not chasing after them. Damn it! Detestable! Many people roared. This time, the losses were too great. Out of the original 400, only about 200 were left. It was a huge loss. This time, they didn't expect that the Origin Luo Palace would suddenly gather such a strong force to attack the old gold mine. Send the news to the 7-Star Island. We must take revenge for this. Someone gritted his teeth and then sent the news to the 7-Star Island. Boom! At this moment, a pillar of light shot up into the sky from afar, piercing through the clouds. Everyone looked in that direction in shock. That direction was clearly the direction of the Qinjin mine. It's at the Qinjin mine. What's going on? Some people were extremely puzzled. Such a shocking phenomenon. We can clearly see it from 100,000 miles away. There must be a rare treasure, a cave abode of a powerhouse, or some historical site. Someone made a guess. It must be so. I understand now. The Origin Luo Palace must have gotten some information. Their original purpose was to get the Qin gold mine. The previous attack on 7-Star Island was just an illusion. Someone shouted. Everyone's heart moved. Perhaps, it was true. The attack on 7-Star Island by the Yuanluo Palace might have been an illusion to confuse them. Not only could they restrain the forces on 7-Star Island, but they could also lure away some experts from the Qin gold mine. Then, the Yuanluo Palace could concentrate their forces and occupy the Qin gold mine in one fell swoop. This won't do. Quickly report this matter to the higher-ups, report it to the general. Someone immediately used a voice transmission jade talisman to send out the news. Then, they decided to send people to the Qinjin mine to check out the news. At this moment, the Qinjin mine had completely changed. The mine vein disappeared, and a hole was revealed under it. A beam of light shot out of the hole and soared into the sky. It only disappeared after half an hour. A deity's cave abode, ha ha ha, there really is a deity's cave abode. Quick, send the news to the hall master. One of the burly men laughed madly. The others were also full of smiles, their eyes shining with a fiery light. A deity's cave abode, this was a cave abode left behind by a deity. It was simply unimaginable. The chaotic astral river is vast and boundless. There are countless cultivators and countless divine spirits who have reached the void god realm. However, there were only a handful of people in history who could cultivate to the heavenly god level. Currently, the divine realm expert known to the public was the master of the Yunfeng Pavilion, the most powerful force in the chaotic astral river. He was the only known heavenly god in the chaotic astral river. One could only imagine how valuable a cave abode left behind by a heavenly god was. Even if the god of heaven had left some useless things in the cave, they were all supreme treasures to others. The people of the Yuanluo Palace immediately spread the news. Not only did they inform the palace master, but they also gathered more experts of the palace. Not long after, groups of experts flew over from the sky. They were all experts from the Yuanluo Palace. They had gathered here to increase the strength of this place. 100,000 miles away, there was a group of people from the righteous army who had gathered with Lu Ming and the rest. They had sent out information about the other party's location. What's going on? Someone from the righteous army asked. The Qin Jin mine was ambushed by the Origin Luo Palace. They sent out more than 1,000 Hollow God Realm cultivators, and more than 200 of us were killed. Only these few managed to escape. Someone explained helplessly. Damn the Yuan Luo Palace. Someone from the righteous army who came later roared. Why did the Yuan Luo Palace attack the Qinjin mine? Someone asked. There should be some rare treasures on Qinjin Island. As soon as one of them explained, a few figures flew over from the distance. They were the few people who had been sent to observe the Qinjin mine. A cave has appeared in the Qinjin mine, and a large number of experts from the Yuan Luo Palace have gathered there. One of the people who went to inquire about the news said. Chapter 2608 Perfect Teeth. What? Cave dwelling, so that's how it is. It must be the cave dwelling of an expert. The people of the Yuan Luo Palace must be after this cave. They can forget about monopolizing it. Well, wait here for the general and then we'll kill our way back. Alright. The Zhengtian army was shocked to hear that there was a cave dwelling in the Qinjin mine. They had been excavating the ancient gold mine for so many years, but they had not found anything. Immediately, the people of the Righteous Sky Army began to wait. Old gold mine. Some of you will stay outside to guard the place. The rest will follow me in and explore the place first. A tall and dy old man instructed. Yes. Everyone bowed and accepted the order. They looked at the old man with respect in their eyes. That was because this old man was a top expert of the Yuan Luo Palace, a terrifying true god expert. Every true god was a top expert in the Yuan Luo Palace. They had the power to control a region and had the power to kill. Under the elder's arrangement, a group of people from the Yuan Luo Palace stayed outside the cave while the rest followed the elder down. 100,000 miles away, Lu Ming and the rest were waiting quietly. Lu Ming was also sitting cross-legged on the sea to rest. Crack! Crack! At this moment, Qiu opened its mouth wide and bit down hard. Its eyes were staring straight in the direction of the Qin gold mine. What do you want to do? Lu Ming asked. Crack! Crack! Qiu's mouth continued to close, and its teeth clattered. It even extended a tentacle and pointed in the direction of the Qin gold mine, revealing a look of desire. You want to go to the Qinjin mine? Lu Ming asked. Crack! Crack! Qiu's round body rolled a few times. Alright, I'll go with you, but be careful. Lu Ming pondered for a moment. He was also quite curious and wanted to see what was going on with the cave dwelling in the Qinjin mine. Qiu transformed into a bangle and wore it on Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming did not tell anyone and headed to the Qinjin or vein alone. The distance of 100,000 miles was covered in a short while. So many experts. As he neared the ancient gold mine, Lu Ming discovered that there were at least a few thousand Origin Luo Hall powerhouses on the island. With so many experts, it's impossible to approach them head-on. What should we do? That's right, from the sea, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He dived into the sea and kept diving. He dived to a depth of 1,000 meters and then approached Qinjin Island. There was no one from the Yuan Luo Palace guarding the sea because the entire island was filled with ancient gold mines. They were not worried. Very soon, Lu Ming arrived at the bottom of Qinjin Island. When it arrived, Qiu flew out and opened its mouth wide, biting down on Qinjin Dao. Whoosh! Qiu's speed was very fast. Very quickly, a large hole was bitten in Qinjin Dao. It continued to push in, and soon a sage appeared. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Perhaps, they could use this to enter Qinjindo's cave abode. Lu Ming revealed a look of joy and followed closely behind Qiu. And NBSP ka. Chocho's speed became faster and faster as it headed deeper into the island. Originally, Chen Jindo's mine vein was extremely hard. Even an expert would find it difficult to dig a tunnel. It would also cause a huge commotion, and the experts of the Yuanluo Palace on the island would notice. However, Chocho's gnawing of the Chen gold mine did not seem to cause any movement. After an unknown amount of time. Chocho, be careful. There's movement ahead. Lu Ming said in a low voice. That was because a series of rumbles came from the front. It seemed like a great battle was happening. Chocho slowed down a little. When its mouth bit on those mineral veins, there was no sound at all. A moment later, the mine vein seemed to have been dug through, revealing a gap. Lu Ming looked outside through the gap and took in the scenery outside. Outside, there was a huge building made of a kind of black rock. It was so huge that one couldn't see the end of it. At the very front of the building, there was a huge door. At this moment, a group of people were bombarding the door. However, it was obvious that there was a formation set up at the gate. There were rays of light shining, and the group of people kept bombarding it, but they could not break the formation at all. One of the elders had an extremely terrifying aura. Each of his moves was extremely powerful and bombarded the array of the gate. What a terrifying expert! Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Even though there was still a long distance between them, the aura that the elder emitted still made him apprehensive. The Yuanluo Palace already has such a terrifying expert. This cave is definitely not a small matter. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. However, the experts of the Yuanluo Palace kept attacking, but they couldn't break the formation. Damn it, the defensive power of this formation is too strong. Even the surrounding walls are protected by the formation. We can't break it at all. Now, we can only wait for the palace master and the others to come and find a way to break it. After bombarding for a while, the old man stopped and said unhappily. The people from the Yuanluo Palace were helpless and could only stop and wait. Chocho, let's leave, Lu Ming whispered to Chocho. Then, Chocho changed its direction and left the place. It then approached the building. Not long after, the mine vein disappeared and a dark wall blocked them. This wall was the wall of the building. Lu Ming took out a divine combat sword and slashed the wall. However, there was not a single mark. The stone material of this wall is very special. It's hard and immortal. There's also the power of a great formation on it, so it's impossible to break it. It seems that we can only stop here. Lu Ming sighed. This cave abode was able to attract so many people from the Yuanluo Palace, so it must be extraordinary. If they could sneak in and obtain some treasures, they would definitely make a fortune. Lu Ming was also tempted, but unfortunately, he could not enter. Right at this moment, Chocho opened its mouth wide and started biting the wall. Bang! A small piece of the wall was bitten off. This works too. Lu Ming was dumbfounded and tongue-tied. There was a formation on the wall that even the terrifying old man from the Yuanluo Palace couldn't break, but Chocho could. This directly ignored the formation. Now, Lu Ming only had one feeling. Chocho's teeth were too sharp. Crack! Crack! Chocho bit down with all its might. Although it wasn't biting very fast and could only bite off a small piece each time, if this continued, it would definitely be able to bite through the wall and enter the building. Lu Ming was waiting with antic anticipation. At this moment, more and more powerhouses from Chen Jin's branch of the Yuanluo Palace were gathering. And 100,000 miles away, there were more and more powerhouses in the righteous army. However, neither side made a move. They were also waiting for the arrival of the strongest experts from both sides. Chapter 2609 Sneaking in. The headquarters of the Yuanluo Palace was located on a huge planet. There was a huge city on this planet. In a large hall in the city, two figures were discussing some matters. One of them was a middle-aged man who looked similar to Kang Long. He was the Yuanluo Palace master, Kang Ji. The other person was an old man with 3 eyes on his forehead and long golden hair. He was also a member of the three-eyed race, the same race as the non-human divine ancestor. This elder's status in the Yuanluo Palace was extraordinary. He was the supreme elder and was extremely powerful. He was on the same level as the Yuanluo Palace master. His name was Imo Kan. The two of them were the strongest in the Yuanluo Palace. The deity's abode. I didn't think that there would really be a deity's abode on the northern Shang planet. The three-eyed race's elder Imo Kan's eyes were burning with Pa-S, Shaun. I originally thought that it would at most be a real god's cave dwelling. I didn't expect that it would be a heavenly god's cave dwelling. This is a huge opportunity. The eyes of the palace master of the Yuanluo Palace were burning with desire. Hall Master, the righteous army's Fa Ming has probably received the news as well. He's probably rushing to northern Shang as well. Hell be a problem. Mo Kan frowned and said. Fa Ming was the ancestor of Technique's name. That ant from a small kiliocosm. If I had known this would happen, I would have killed him back then and we wouldn't have had to face this trouble now. At the mention of the ancestor of Technique, the eyes of the Yuanluo Palace master were filled with killing intent. Unfortunately, he's already grown up. Even if the two of us join forces, we might not be able to kill him. Mo Kan said helplessly. Once we obtain the treasures in the deity's cave abode and increase our strength greatly, we'll definitely kill him. Moreover, I already have a plan this time. That old man Fu Heng still owes me a favor. I've already sent him a voice transmission. Hell, go and delay Fa Ming for a while. The Hall Master of the Yuanluo Hall said. Hall Master is wise. With Fu Heng helping, I can rest assured. Hall Master, let's go. Mo Kan was overjoyed. Let's go. Together with Mo Kan, the Yuanluo Hall Master led a group of experts toward the North Shang planet. Jingtian Army, Jingtian Star. An expert's cave. It's worth the attention of the Yuanluo Palace. Let's go and take a look. In a hall, the ancestor of Technique also received the news. He stepped out and was about to head to the teleportation array to the northern Shang planet. Brother Fa Ming, where are you going in such a hurry? At this moment, an old voice was heard. A figure suddenly appeared in the sky. This figure was an old man with silver skin. He was obviously not human. The old man was wearing a long white robe. He stood on the clouds and smiled at the ancestor of Technique. Fu Heng. The ancestor of Technique frowned. Fu Heng, he said. What brings you here to the righteous army? Brother Fa Ming, it's been tens of thousands of years since we last met. I've come today to play a game of chess with you. Fu Heng smiled. Playing chess with me? I'm not free today. The ancestor of Technique said. I can only play this game today. If it were another day, I won't be able to play this game anymore. Fu Heng smiled and took a step forward. He came in front of the ancestor of Technique and blocked his way. Did Kang Ji ask you to come? The ancestor of Technique's face darkened. Back then, I received a great favor from him. I have no choice but to return this favor. Fu Heng sighed. It seems that the cave abode on planet Northern Shang is no small matter. Kang Ji actually found you to delay me so that I can't rush to planet Northern Shang. The ancestor of Technique was very smart. He thought about it and figured out everything. Brother Fa Ming, let's play the next round. I'll leave once this round is over. Fu Heng smiled and waved his hand. A huge flag appeared in the air. The ancestor of Technique frowned. Fu Heng was very powerful. If he really wanted to fight him, he had no confidence at all. There was even a high possibility that he would not be able to defeat him. In an instant, many thoughts flashed through the ancestor of Technique's mind. Alright, since you're in such a good mood, let's play a round. The ancestor of Technique was also helpless. He then sat cross-legged in the air, facing Fu Heng with the chess game between them. At the same time, he sent out a message to inform the righteous Sky Army that they were not to make a move no matter what they encountered before he arrived on the planet. Then, he started playing chess with Fu Heng. On planet Northern Shang, in the Chen gold mine, the Yuan Luo Hall Master Kang Ji and the others had arrived. "Greetings, Hall Master." The True God Realm old man and the other people from the Yuan Luo Palace bowed. "How is it? Did you guys check this cave abode first?" The Hall Master of the Yuan Luo Hall asked. "Palace Master, we've already gone to investigate, but there's a powerful defensive formation outside the cave abode. I can't break it with my cultivation. I'm afraid we'll need Palace Master and Grand Elder to work together to break it." The True God Realm old man reported. "There's a great formation. It's within my expectations. Let's go." The Palace Master of the Yuan Luo Palace led a group of experts into the cave abode and arrived at the gate of the building. Boom! The Palace Master of the Yuan Luo Palace made his move. A terrifying attack was launched at the door. Rays of light shone on the door, blocking the attack from the Palace Master. Boom! With a loud boom, the array at the gate started to shake. The strength of the Yuan Luo Palace Master was much stronger than the True God Realm Elder. The True God Realm Elder was only at the first stage of the True God Realm, while the Hall Master of the Yuan Luo Hall had already reached the fourth stage of the True God Realm. It's effective. The Hall Master is truly amazing. The eyes of the other people from the Yuan Luo Palace lit up as they began to flatter him. "Let's attack together and break the formation as quickly as possible," the Hall Master of the Yuan Luo Hall ordered. Then, the experts of the Yuan Luo Palace attacked together. However, this array was indeed very strong. Even if their attacks were effective, it would not be broken in a short time. It would take a long time to slowly wear out the energy of the array. On the other side, Qiu was still biting the wall. At this moment, there was already a large hole on the wall that was a meter deep. "This wall is really hard." Lu Ming was somewhat speechless. Now, he could only wait patiently. With his cultivation, he couldn't help much. "A day pass," said just like that. The wall had already been bitten 3 meters deep by Qiu. Bang! With Qiu's bite, the wall was finally bitten through. "It's done." Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Crack! Crack! Qiu also became spirited. It bit harder. Soon, a hole appeared. The wall had been completely opened up, and dim light came from the other side. Lu Ming's body shrunk and he rushed into the cave in the wall. The next moment, he appeared in a passage. The tunnel was surrounded by pitch-black walls. They had dug through the walls in the middle of the tunnel. Lu Ming identified the direction and then strode toward the depths of the passage. Chapter 2610 Sweeping everything clean. The passageway was hundreds of meters long. After walking through the passageway, Lu Ming came across a courtyard. It turned out that the passage just now was just a small path on the side. This was the real main courtyard. Boom! Boom! Outside the courtyard came a series of rumbles. It was obvious that the gate of the building was right outside the courtyard. The Palace Master of the Yuan Luo Palace and the others were bombarding the formation at the gate. They never would have thought that someone had already entered the building before they could even break the formation on the door. "I'm going to speed up." Lu Ming's figure flashed and he went into the courtyard. There was a large hall in the courtyard. Lu Ming's eyes immediately swept across the room. The hall was empty. Lu Ming was a little disappointed. However, there was an inner hall behind the main hall. Lu Ming walked into the inner hall. The inner hall was a little messy, and there was a huge platform. Lu Ming took a closer look and recognized the platform. It should be used for forging weapons. There were some materials piled up randomly around the corner. Crack! Crack! Qiu had already started eating. It stretched out 2 tentacles, grabbed the ingredients, and started eating. "This is star silver, black sky gold," Lu Ming's gaze swept across the room and he discovered two extremely precious refining materials. Star silver and black sky gold were both materials that could be used to craft middle-grade divine artifacts. They were extremely precious. Wait! Lu Ming rushed over and quickly grabbed the star silver and black sky gold and kept them. Lu Ming only recognized these. There were many others that he did not recognize. Most likely, their levels would not be low. Lu Ming and Qiuqiu swept away all the materials like the wind. Crack! Crack! Qiuqiu glared at Lu Ming angrily, as if it was saying that Lu Ming had had its food. These materials aren't cheap. Take them out and exchange them for something else for you to eat. Lu Ming chuckled. The materials that could be used to craft middle-grade divine artifacts were definitely priceless. However, apart from these materials, he did not find anything else of value. Lu Ming speculated that this should be the cave abode of an expert. The expert was refining weapons here and had thrown some useless materials on the corner. They were the materials that Lu Ming had collected earlier. However, the things that the expert didn't care about were also valuable to others. Lu Ming sized it up happily but did not discover anything else. He exited the inner hall and returned to the outer hall. He noticed that there was a corridor on the side of the outer hall. Lu Ming followed the corridor to the back and saw another courtyard. There was a tall building in front of the courtyard but the door of the courtyard was closed. There was also a large array set up on the door. Lu Ming tried but he realized that he could not enter at all. He was blocked by the large array. Looks like he'll have to take a detour again. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and then went back the way he came. He came to the side passage and exited from the gap that Qiuqiu had bitten open. How do we fill up this gap? Lu Ming was deep in thought. Later on, if the Yuanluo Hall master and the others broke the formation and entered, they would probably find this gap. Qiuqiu seemed to have read Lu Ming's mind. It opened its mouth and a sticky black liquid spurted out. It looked like a black liquid metal. The black liquid metal poured into the gap and quickly solidified, completely blocking the gap. Lu Ming was a little dumbfounded. He speculated that the black liquid metal was the impurities that Qiuqiu had eaten. Anyway, no matter what, the gap was blocked. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Then, Qiuqiu continued to refuel and gnaw on the old gold mine as it headed inside the building. When it estimated that it had already said the door, Qiuqiu started to bite the black wall again. A few days later, Qiuqiu bit through the wall and Lu Ming entered through the gap. He realized that he had already entered the building behind the door. There were many secret rooms here. Lu Ming began to search. In the beginning, a few of the secret rooms were empty. He only discovered it when he arrived at the largest secret room. There were a few shelves around the secret room, and there were some jade bottles on the shelves. A divine pill. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The divine elixir was very useful for the martial god realm. There were actually some divine pills here. Lu Ming picked up a jade bottle and realized that there were runes carved on it. These runes were used to seal the jade bottle to prevent the medicinal effects from being lost. However, many years had passed and the power of the seal had weakened. Lu Ming used the path of domination and broke the seal very quickly. Then, he opened the jade bottle. Immediately, a thick medicinal fragrance filled the air. There's still medicinal effects. Lu Ming was overjoyed. However, Lu Ming did not know what the divine pill in the jade bottle was called or what effects it had. Lu Ming knew nothing about the divine pill. I don't care. I'll keep it first. I'll slowly identify it when I go out. Lu Ming waved his hand and kept all the jade bottles. There were more than 50 of them. After keeping it, Lu Ming sized up the secret room. In the middle of the secret room, there was a dark-colored mark. This should be a secret room for alchemy. The mark in the middle should be where the alchemy furnace was placed. Lu Ming speculated. Although Lu Ming did not know much about divine pills, he was also an alchemist in the heaven realm. He was very familiar with the habitual steps of alchemy. He could speculate many things just by looking at the layout of the secret room. It was obvious that this was a secret alchemy room. However, the owner of this place had left with the alchemy furnace and most of the elixirs. Perhaps, some of the pills that were not important to the cave abode's owner had been left behind, and they were the ones that Lu Ming had obtained previously. However, the owner of this cave abode was not a trivial matter. Even if the owner of the cave abode did not like it, it did not mean that Lu Ming did not like it. After walking out of the secret room, Lu Ming began to search again. Then, he found a pas sageway. However, this pas sageway was also set up with an array. Lu Ming could not pass through it at all. This cave is really big. There are more inside, then. Let's continue. Lu Ming was all smiles. This cave dwelling had obviously been abandoned by its owner. Almost all the good things had been taken away, but even if there were some things left that were not important to the owner, they were still valuable treasures. Lu Ming went out through the hole that they had come in through. Qiu did the same thing again. It spewed out liquid metal and blocked the hole. Then, they continued to dig and went deeper into the cave abode. After moving forward for a while, Qiu continued to bite a hole in the stone wall and Lu Ming entered it. This time, the place they entered was a little special. They seemed to have entered a pas sageway. The pas sageway was very large, at least 100 meters in diameter, and smooth walls surrounded them on all four sides. It was pitch black in front of the pas sage, and no one knew where it led to. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and walked along the pas sage. And NBSP hoo. All of a sudden, a terrifying whistling sound was heard in the pas sage. Then, a strong suction force was produced in the pas sage, sucking Lu Ming in. Chapter 2611 Hurricane Tunnel, not good. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. The suction force at the front of the pas sage was too strong. Lu Ming was not prepared at all and was sucked in at once. Buzz! Lu Ming was like a small boat in a huge wave, drifting with the current and being thrown out directly. Soon, they reached the end of the pas sage. However, at the end of the pas sage, there was an even larger pas sage. The pas sage that Lu Ming was in just now was just a branch. The two paths converged. Lu Ming was directly thrown into this larger pas sage. Hoo. The larger pas sage was at least a few thousand meters in diameter, and it was filled with endless gales that blew in one direction. It was because of this wind that the air current was able to produce such a terrifying attractive force. The endless gale blew on Lu Ming's body. It was like a sharp blade cutting into Lu Ming's body, causing him to feel a sharp pain. Lu Ming hurriedly circulated the power of domination all over his body to resist the attack of the strong wind. And NBSP hoo. The strong wind whistled as Lu Ming was carried by the strong wind and flew towards the front of the pas sage at an extreme speed. In the blink of an eye, he had flown hundreds of miles. No, I can't keep being carried around like this. Lu Ming's mind was racing. He mustered all his strength and rushed to the side of the pas sage. The side of the pas sage was full of uneven rocks. When Lu Ming was near the side of the pas sage, he grabbed a protruding rock and finally stabilized himself. There's a hurricane tunnel in the depths of this cave. Where does it lead to? Lu Ming started to think. Could it be that the true core of the cave abode was in the depths of the pas sage, and he had to pass through the hurricane pas sage to reach it? This was highly possible. Many experts would set up formations or traps around their cave abodes to block others. This hurricane pas sage was most likely set up by the owner of the cave. Follow the side of the pas sage and go in to take a look. Lu Ming had made up his mind. He did not want to give up and came here. Immediately, Lu Ming walked along the side of the pas sage and climbed up the protruding rocks, slowly heading deeper into the pas sage. However, Lu Ming realized that the closer he got to the depths of the pas sage, the stronger the wind was. It was very energy-consuming for Lu Ming to resist the power of the hurricane. Every once in a while, Lu Ming would stop to rest and recover his energy. Just like that, Lu Ming walked for 3 days and still did not reach the end of the passage. This tunnel seemed to be endless. Roar! At this moment, Lu Ming heard a beast's roar. Beast roar? What's going on? Are there still desolate beasts or divine beasts here? Lu Ming had a puzzled look on his face. However, at the next moment, his eyes widened. That was because he saw a huge wild beast soaring in the hurricane and flying toward Lu Ming. It was a strange desolate beast. Its body was like an eagle and was covered in green feathers. However, its head was that of a lion. It was Lu Ming's first time seeing such a dire beast with the head of a lion and the body of a bird. This wild beast was completely unafraid of the strong wind. It flapped its wings and flew against the wind. Its eyes were like lightning as it swept its gaze over Lu Ming. Buzz! Buzz! It flapped its wings a few times and flew towards Lu Ming at top speed. Its sharp claws grabbed at Lu Ming in the air. The force whistled and its sharpness was terrifying. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. He grabbed the rock with one hand and held the meteor spear in the other. He thrust the spear forward. Clang! The meteor spear struck the sharp claws of his opponent, and the sound of metal clashing rang out. The lion-headed eagle beast was sent flying, but Lu Ming's long spear also trembled violently, causing Lu Ming's arm to go numb. What a terrifying power! Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He did not dare to be careless. Roar! The lion-headed eagle beast retreated and spread its wings to stabilize its body. Its eyes were even colder. With a flap of its wings, its body was like a gust of wind as it charged at Lu Ming. Its wings were like blades, slashing at Lu Ming. Whoosh! 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 Lu Ming held the spear in one hand and shot out rays of spear radiance as he fought the lion-headed eagle beast. In the blink of an eye, the two sides had exchanged dozens of blows. In the end, Lu Ming thrust his spear at the lion-headed eagle beast's lower abdomen. The lion-headed eagle beast roared in anger and retreated frantically. Feathers fell all over the sky, and it was swept away by the hurricane, disappearing at the end of the passage. Roar! Roar! The lion-headed eagle-bodied beast was incomparably enraged. It roared continuously, and its wings flapped rapidly. Buzz! And NBSP whoosh! Wind blades, sharper than ordinary divine artifacts, were formed and shot toward Lu Ming. Not good. Without hesitation, Lu Ming activated the double combat strength of the battle formula. Now, Lu Ming could trigger the double combat strength of the battle formula almost twice. After activating the double combat power, his strength increased greatly. With a shake of his long spear, he shot out over 100 spear lights, destroying the wind blades one by one. At the same time, the long spear swept out with the wind, sweeping towards the lion-headed eagle beast. Lu Ming's attack was already astonishingly fast to begin with. Now that he was moving along with the wind, his speed became even faster. The lion-headed eagle beast wanted to dodge, but it was already too late. It was struck by the long spear. Bang! The lion-headed eagle beast exploded. To Lu Ming's surprise, after the lion-headed eagle beast exploded, there was not a single drop of blood. It turned into energy and disappeared. It's fake and not a real living being. Lu Ming was also stunned. Could it be that this was condensed by the big array? However, the lion-headed eagle beast was too real. It was no different from the real thing. Lu Ming could not tell just now. After killing the lion-headed eagle-bodied beast, Lu Ming continued to move forward from the side. However, they didn't go far before they heard a few more roars. Then, Lu Ming saw the lion-headed eagle beast. Moreover, it wasn't just one this time, but 3. The 3 lion-headed eagle-bodied beasts pounced at Lu Ming the moment they saw him. Then let's fight. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. He brandished his long spear and engaged the three-headed lion-headed eagle beast in close combat. This time, they exchanged more than 100 moves. In the hurricane tunnel, Lu Ming had to resist the strong wind and it was difficult for him to exert his full strength. On the other hand, the lion-headed eagle beast was like a fish in water, able to exert its full strength. Therefore, even though the lion-headed eagle beast's level was not high, Lu Ming still spent a lot of effort to kill it. It's not bad to use this environment to train myself. Lu Ming smiled faintly. In such an adverse situation, Lu Ming had to go all out to fight the lion-headed eagle beast. He had to exert his dominant power and the battle character formula to the extreme. After the previous exchange of blows, Lu Ming felt that he had gained some understanding of the ruler and the battle character formula. Although it wasn't much, it was still much faster than dry and bitter cultivation. After that, Lu Ming found a larger protruding rock and used it to stabilize his body. He then circulated his cultivation technique to recover. Every time he used the double combat power of the battle formula, he had to rest and recover. It was impossible to use it continuously. A few hours later, Lu Ming had fully recovered. He then continued to head deeper into the Pa's sage. However, he had not gone far when a few more lion-headed eagle-bodied beasts appeared and fought with Lu Ming. After another 100 moves, the lion-headed eagle beast was finally killed. Lu Ming had gained more understanding of the Tao of domination and the battle formula.